Hey, good morning. A warm front lifting north through the Mid-South and bringing some rain. Look at that batch of rain just west of Little Rock. That's heading our direction. So you'll have these on and off showers all day today. This is 9 a.m. on First Alert Futurecast. Most of us still getting some rain, and those showers continue on and off through at least noon today along and south of I-40 up towards Dyersburg and into Tipton and Lauderdale County as well as Crockett County. May see a break in the rain around noon, but all of us will have the potential for showers through tonight. At 5 o'clock, many areas in North Mississippi seeing a break at that point, but those showers continue to develop here through around 11 o'clock or midnight. Some of these storms tonight at 11 o'clock, midnight tonight in North Mississippi and eastern Arkansas may have some gusty winds and some small hail as well. But I'm mostly concerned with the threat for some flooding. We've seen a lot of rain recently. We could tack on another inch of rain in Tunica today, about an inch and a half in Oxford, quarter to a half inch from Memphis into Wynn, West Memphis, and spots like Helena still seeing about a half inch to an inch of rain too. As I mentioned, there is that chance for us to maybe have a few strong storms, a 1 out of 5 for those for winds and hail in North Mississippi, eastern Arkansas. Most of us, though, won't see any thunderstorms, and in fact, that severe chance is really low. Like I said, the main thing I'm concerned with is that flash flooding potential, and that's mostly because we've already had a lot of rain. On average, we normally get around an inch and a half. We are 2 inches above normal for the month so far, and the month just started, so who knows how much we'll end up having by the end of the month. So temperatures are coming in the 50s this morning. We'll end up around 60 degrees at 3 o'clock, upper 50s between 5 and 7, and again, rain chances, they're high all day today. Your high temperature is 60 degrees, pretty close to average, which is at 62 right now, and then a low temperature tonight of 46, and after midnight, rain will be coming to an end. So that high rain chance is really just for your early evening. This weekend, Saturday at least, is mostly dry. We will have some rain rolling in Saturday night, but then Sunday it looks like a complete washout with on and off rain all day and temperatures hanging out near 60. Not only do we have to deal with rain this weekend, but also we are springing forward this weekend. That time change happens technically at 2 a.m. Sunday, but I always recommend setting your clocks forward an hour before you go to sleep on Saturday night. And also, this is a good time to replace those smoke alarm and carbon dioxide detector batteries. Now, we'll keep you updated on the rain chance for today and this weekend on our First Alert weather app. Just search for WMC, and you can download that app for free. We'll have temperatures today around 60 degrees, 60 tomorrow. Sunshine tomorrow as well, and as I mentioned, Saturday's mostly dry too. But after that Sunday rain, as that cold front moves through, it really drops down temperatures. So highs on Monday and Tuesday will only be in the lower 50s.
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas in the Action News 5 digital desk. I want to tell you about Camp Say. It is a free 2-day performing arts camp for young people who stutter. It is a place where every young person is celebrated for who they are and given as much time as they need to express themselves fully. And these are some of the pictures from the camp in years past. I want to bring in Jennifer McGrath, Vice President of Education and Community Engagement at the Orpheum Theater Group, to talk more about Camp Say. Jennifer, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing very well, thanks. Happy to be here.
I'm glad you're with us. So tell us about Camp Say.
Well, like you said, Camp Say is a program that we've been running here in Memphis since 2018 at the Orpheum, and we work in partnership with an organization called SAY, the Stuttering Association for the Young, based out of New York City, and we host this, as you described, this 2-day free mini camp for young people who stutter, where they are given as much time as they need to speak and express themselves fully through all sorts of creative practices and mostly around community building. Essentially, what we're saying is that we think you speak beautifully exactly as you speak, and we want to hold time and space for you to come together with other young people who also stutter, and we want to hear what you have to say and how you learn to express yourself.
How long has it been going on, and what has been the response when you guys have after the camp?
Yeah, so, well, the organization SAY in New York City has been around since 2001, believe it or not. And we began this program, this satellite program here in Memphis in 2018. So I actually just checked that this spring will be our 9th session of Camp Say. And it's super exciting because, to answer your question, a lot of the young people that are coming to this program maybe have never met another young person who stutters. Maybe they feel like they are completely alone, like they're the only one, that they're hesitant or nervous to speak up, right? And to answer your question, in just 2 short days, they've suddenly built and developed this whole community of people that are just like them. They've made new friends, they've had a ton of fun, and they've been able to express themselves and share all the incredible gifts that are inside of all of them just by holding a little bit of extra time for them to speak. So I think what's really incredible is that in 48 hours, we see a tremendous journey, a tremendous boost in confidence, a tremendous networking that develops. And we also hold space for the parents and caregivers of the young people to come together and talk about what it means to be raising a young person who stutters and what the effects of that are on the young person, on the family. So really, really building a network of people and just seeing so many people make so much progress and grow so much in such a short time, while also having a lot of fun.
So it's at the Halloran Center there from March 18th and 19th. Tell us, is this a classroom setting? We've seen some of the B-roll. It looks like some of the video there. It looks like they're doing all kinds of things, moving around. Take us through a day in the life of this camp.
Sure. Well, our camp is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, and breakfast and lunch are provided. And I share that only because we sort of ease the campers in, right? You have the beauty of having the camp been here for so long is that now we have a lot of returning campers that come back year after year, session after session, that know exactly what to expect. And so they come in ready to go. But we also have a lot of new people coming into this space. And like I said, maybe they're a little bit nervous, a little bit timid. So we like to ease in with the meal, just kind of get everybody settled in the space. And then essentially we spend a lot of time getting to know one another, and also really living into the premise, the value that everyone gets as much time as they need to speak, whether that is 2 seconds, 2 minutes, or 2 hours. We are going to hold space for you. This is an environment that is completely free of any kind of ridicule or bullying. It's all positive, uplifting, affirming time and space. And so we really just spend a lot of time getting to know one another so that the young people can learn about other people who stutter, and also just helping them to feel comfortable speaking with their stutter. We play a lot of fun games, which is always a really great time. We have amazing food at lunch, and then we spend the afternoons primarily creating things. And we believe that the young people should get to create whatever they want. So they're writing poems, they're creating dances, some of them write songs, they do animation and drawing, they're creating skits and scenes, you name it, creative writing, drawing, you name it. They are developing creative means to express their thoughts and ideas. Then on the second day, we do a little bit more team building, a little bit more games and fun, and of course those delicious meals. And then we invite anyone who wishes to share some of the creative things that they've made for their friends and family. So any parents, caregivers, et cetera, that want to come and observe. Nobody is forced to share anything because, of course, we know that's a pretty big ask, right, to get up on stage and share something that you've created. But I'm also really proud to say that almost every single time we've got almost every young person up there sharing a little bit about what they made and letting their voice be heard. And that's exactly what we're trying to do, is make space for that.
So, and it's important to mention that this is a free camp for anyone. And I'm curious, do people come back every year? Do you see some of the same people? And how many people do we see? And what are the ages that we typically see at this camp?
Absolutely. So Camp SAY serves young people who stutter ages 8 to 18. It is completely free. One of the things that we've been doing at the Orpheum for a long time now is really working to create more access to our quality programs. And so we don't want cost to be a barrier. If you are a young person who stutters and you want to participate in this camp, we want to make sure that it is accessible to you. So we're really proud of that and really thrilled to be able to offer it free to the families that need it. And in terms of people coming back, yes, we we have young people that have been coming since the very first year. It's amazing to watch them grow, both physically from small people to now most of them are taller than me, to also just the way they grow in their journey of expressing themselves, of developing friendships. And I think, many of these young people, like I said, where they are going to school, and we have students coming from all over the tri-state area. We even have students coming from as far as Florida and St. Louis, because they really need this resource and this program. And so a lot of the kids that are returning get so excited to come to camp and see their friends and reconnect with their community, because maybe where they go to school, maybe they're the only person who stutters, or maybe their teacher is not giving them the time they need, right? Because the only difference between a person who stutters and anybody else is that it just takes them a little bit more time to say what they want to say. And so I think for returners coming back, you just see them walk in the door and go, oh, this is a moment where I can take my time and I can express myself and I can be seen. So yes, we absolutely have returners that have been coming since the beginning, which is always fun. And then of course we love meeting new people. So if you've never been before, but you stutter, we definitely want you to come and join us. You'll make so many friends, and I promise you it's a good time.
Okay, so let's talk about how people can sign up, what they need to do, and how many people do you typically have every year?
Sure. It ranges from year to year. I would say we're usually in the range of 20 to 30 young people per session. We do try to find that balance of making sure that anybody that wants to be a part of the program can be a part of it, but also making sure that there's a high camper to staff ratio, right? So that everyone can get the attention that they need and deserve while they're at camp, and really connect with other young people. So we're usually in the 20 to 30 people range, again, ages 8 to 18. And to register, registration is open now. So you can go online to the Orpheum website. That's orpheum-memphis.com. And you can click on the Learn and Engage tab, and it'll direct you right there to Camp Say across the USA Memphis. There's a register button. You just have to answer a couple of questions, fill out some information. And then, of course, someone from our team will follow up with you with all of the details. Registration, like I said, is open now and closes on March 10th, so that we have time to turn around and prepare for the camp, which is actually the following weekend. So if you or a young person we also reach out a lot to teachers, educators, speech language pathologists, right? If you know someone who stutters that can benefit from this program, please send them our way. We'd really love to have them at Camp Say.
All right, Jennifer McGrath, the Vice President of Education Community Engagement for the Orpheum Theater Group. Appreciate all that you guys do, certainly, and this camp sounds absolutely fantastic, and appreciate you letting us know about it and getting the word out there for everybody. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, 2023 has already seen its share of heart disease impacts. Celebrities like Lisa Marie Presley, a mother of 4, Andrea Thompson, the mother of NBA star Tristan Thompson. I am joined now by Michelle Whitlock. She is a 2-time cervical cancer survivor and author, and someone who works in the healthcare industry. She's adopted several children, and I understand she's got quite the story to tell. How are you, Michelle? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm great.
I just told my producer, you look like Martina McBride. You look far too young to be a 2-time cervical cancer survivor. Tell me about your story.
Yeah, I was diagnosed at the young age of 26 and had a recurrence at 29. So chemo, radiation, major surgeries, and it left me unable to carry or create life inside my own body. So that's really where I started advocating for women's health and for women to know their family history, know what's available to them in terms of HPV vaccination, the PAP test, the HPV test, and really how to protect themselves. What I didn't realize is that this would also turn into heart health advocacy, and that I would find myself at the age of 45 suffering a major heart attack.
I was going to ask because so you had this, you're this two-time cancer survivor, and then here you are, you work in the health industry, healthcare industry. Were you surprised that you were having this heart attack? And my understanding is that your artery was 95% blocked?
Yeah, it was a 95% block. I remember asking my cardiologist in the cath lab, "What's the widowmaker?" And he said, "You just had the widowmaker. It's the LAD." I was completely shocked. My father had 2 heart attacks in his 40s. But I really associated that to his unhealthy lifestyle. And I've tried really hard to live what I thought was a healthy lifestyle. I worked out regularly, lifted weights. What I didn't do was very much cardio. And the heart's a muscle, and it needs to be exercised as well.
Let's talk for a brief minute, Michelle, about the symptoms of heart attacks or the warning signs, I guess you could say, for this kind of thing for women.
Yeah, I'll tell you that the truth is, if I was listening to my body and my intuition, there were signs before the heart attack. But I'm a busy mom and I work. And so, like most women, it's very easy to put ourselves second, push down, and excuse away the random. Sometimes I would have like just a fast heartbeat or a stabbing kind of feeling in the center of my chest. It never lasted long. But it did pique my curiosity that I started Googling heart attack symptoms in women because I did know my dad had a heart attack. So I saw the symptoms and I knew that they could be different for women, and it might not be chest pain, and that it could be things like profusely sweating or getting nauseous, vomiting, pain in your upper back, pain in your arm. So things that maybe wouldn't be associated with a heart attack. So I saw those warning signs. I just didn't act on them.
I got you. Michelle, your cardiologist, Dr. Michael McDonald, is on the line too. And I want to ask him, Dr. McDonald, I want to ask, when do people really need to see a doctor?
That's hard to say because it has to be individualized. And as far as with the heart disease, you have to consider what are the risk factors, what are the symptoms. And it's not like we have guidelines like in GI, at a certain age you get a colonoscopy. As far as with heart, of course, if you have classic symptoms, you need to see a doctor as soon as you can, because if you're like Michelle, starting to experience a heart attack, then the longer you wait, the more damage there can be to your heart muscle. As far as the preventive measures and stuff, looking at getting your cholesterol checked, your blood pressure checked, do you have diabetes, all the risk factor modifications, that can be taken up, with your doctor, the sooner the better.
Can you tell me a little bit about how Michelle was treated in the hospital, and is this something that's fairly common that you see as a cardiologist?
Well, it's not uncommon, but with females, the presentation of heart disease can be very deceptive because females don't typically have at times, the classic symptoms that a male has. And it sometimes fools the healthcare provider, and it will sometimes fool the patient as well. The typical heart attack symptoms, crushing heaviness on the chest, radiation of the pain down the left arm. We do see that in women, but we also see more nebulous symptoms, things like a nausea, vomiting, shortness of breath, everything from weird sleep disturbances. It just goes on and on. So you have to be a little more open-minded with the women. Michelle presented with, chest pain more classically, but my notes said the day before when she was biking, she had a fullness or a ball-like sensation in her stomach, and that's very unusual. And you would not say, okay, this is symptoms that precede a heart attack.
Interesting. Okay. And if you had to if you had to say something to our thousands of people that are watching right now about ways to prevent heart attacks, maybe like the top 3 ways or just maybe top 3 preventative steps that people could take, what would they be?
Well, it's a healthy lifestyle. One of the biggest risk factors for heart disease is genetics, and we can't change our parents who they were. But what we can change is, as far as, are you following a healthy lifestyle? Are you getting regular cardio type exercise? Is your diet what it should be? What's your blood pressure running? If you're smoking, quit smoking. And the risk factor modification just goes on and on. And then you have to be aware of being open-minded to your symptoms and not denying that, oh, this is just indigestion, I'll put it off.
Dr. McDonald, thank you. I want to go back over to Michelle. You are certainly a survivor and someone that deserves a lot of accolades. Now that this stuff is behind you, Michelle, what can you tell some of our viewers right now, from your experiences of ways to prevent heart attacks and heart issues?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of things I do want to say is Dr. McDonald's absolutely right that I actually did vomit the night before, and the majority of my pain started in my left shoulder blade. So not typical until I was in the throes of it. So number one is, please listen to your body. If something feels off, it probably is. Take the time to consult with your doctor. The second thing is find time for cardio. That could be walking around your block, extra steps during the day. Exercising is really important. And then eating healthy, make healthy food choices. Switch out some of that red meat for fish. Add more dark leafy vegetables into your diet. Get good fats like olive oil and nuts. And talk to your children. I can't urge you enough to talk to your children. I remember being wheeled out by the ambulance, and I thought I would never see my kids again. I literally had them stop so that I could look every one of them in the face and tell them that mama loves them. I was home alone with them when it happened. So now we're talking heart health with our kids that are 12, 11, and 9. We've got them set up with a profile on our elliptical so that if they don't go outside to play, their second option is they can get on the elliptical and exercise their heart. And they're asking us, have I had enough healthy food today?
That's fantastic. Michelle Whitlock and Dr. Michael McDonald, really appreciate your time for both of you to enlighten us on ways to prevent those types of things in our lives. Thanks very much for your time, and all the best for a great, healthy, and successful 2023.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here at Action News 5, we've done several stories about lead poisoning when it comes to children. It's a real issue here in Memphis and the Mid-South, and we want to just do a little bit of a deeper dive into this very issue. And I'm joined right now by Le Bonheur pediatrician, Dr. Jason Yon. Dr. Yon, good morning. How are you?
Hi, good morning. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Okay, good to have you back on the digital desk. How much of a problem is lead exposure here in Memphis and the Mid-South?
It's a significant problem in Memphis. A lot of it is due to our old housing stock. We have about 200,000 homes in Memphis that put children at risk for lead poisoning, and a lot of that is due to lead paint in the homes, industrial causes of lead being in our dust and our air, and lead pipes that lead to homes that can put lead in the water. So it's a significant issue. Flint, Michigan got a lot of attention a few years ago about lead in the water there, but there are many Flints throughout our country, and Memphis is one of those. We're one of the highest countries in the Southeast for risk for children for lead poisoning.
It sounds terrible, and certainly something that is preventable. But if there are some children that are exposed to lead, are there symptoms that maybe parents can look for that would give them a heads up?
Well, that's one of the really dangerous things about lead is that prevention is the key. There's no safe known level of exposure. And at low levels of lead exposure, you may not see any overt symptoms initially. At really high levels, we can see gastrointestinal distress, neurological manifestations. But at low levels, it's usually undetected unless we test for it. But it can cause significant issues around neurocognitive development and other areas like that, and can significantly interfere with the child's learning and development process, lead to school-based issues later on. It's been associated with things like aggression and other behavioral problems as well. So it's really a significant problem that we have to be very aware about.
I'd say no question about it, Dr. Yon. All right, so let's say there's some parents out there and they're unsure and maybe they have an idea one way or the other. Is there an easy, quick way to test to see if they have lead in their home?
Well, there are programs that can come and test for lead in the home. They can test their water. They can have environmental surveys to help test for lead paint. A lot of it is risk-based. If your home was built before 1950, or if it has lead paint in it that was prior to 1978, and some of the vinyl blinds and things like that. As I said, many homes may be serviced by lead pipes. So a lot of it is being proactive. There is a simple blood test for children where we can test for lead in the blood. And we do that generally universally at the first and second birthday visit. But if parents have concerns, they can talk to their pediatrician. Is it right for their child to get tested outside of those ages? But we really worry about it in young children because of their rapidly developing brains and because of the absorption of lead, and they tend to put things into their mouth, and so they can have higher exposure to lead paint and dust and lead and things like that. So it is something that parents should be aware of and investigate if they feel the need to do that.
Right, and I guess that starts with reaching out to their pediatrician to really just kind of ask the questions. Should I test my child? And it sounds like just a simple blood test can really kind of determine if there's been lead exposure, right?
That's right. I think, talking with your pediatrician is a great place to start, and we can help work through some of those risk-based factors and decide if testing is appropriate. We can't necessarily tell that the child's never been exposed to lead, but at least we can be certain whether there's still ongoing exposure. And like I said, prevention is key. So working with our community agencies and health departments to identify houses that may have lead in their water or may have lead in the homes from other sources.
What about others in the household? We mentioned children. Are there other people that are at risk as well? I mean, I know it affects everybody, but children seem to be most at risk. What about elderly or other vulnerable people?
It's generally mostly children, just because, again, we've got that rapid brain development and the potential for insult at that age. Of course, it's for general health and future development. It's a good idea not to be exposed to lead. It is a toxic metal. Most adults are not going to be putting things into their mouth that we shouldn't be, but there could still be exposure from water, and obviously that's not safe. But it is primarily children that we worry about, especially with their neurocognitive development. And so if there is someone identified in the household that has been exposed to lead, we do recommend that all children be tested, even older children, so that we can identify any exposures, mitigate that exposure. And then if children need help with things like their developmental abilities or other things, we can monitor those and get families and children the support services that they need to address that.
Anything else, Dr. Yon, we can touch on with regards to this? Is there perhaps a website where if parents have questions, they can go get some answers?
Yeah. Well, I think, thinking about cleaning in the home, doors and windows, high touch surface areas, those are going to be your areas where, lead paint and lead dust may collect. So cleaning thoroughly and using healthy green products to do that. If you are concerned or you do have lead pipes, you can run the water cold for about 3 to 5 minutes prior to using any water for drinking or cooking. The CDC is a great resource to learn more about potential lead exposure in the home and how to mitigate those exposures and what to do about those things.
Okay. Well, listen, Dr. Yon, thanks so much for spelling it out for us. We appreciate your time.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 digital desk. How much sleep did you get? Did you get enough? Did you get too much? Did you maybe get enough, but not enough so that you want to take a nap later in the day? Well, we know that sleep helps repair and restore our body and also restore our brain. It also affects our overall well-being. In fact, poor sleep quality has been linked to all kinds of instances of mental health issues like anxiety and depression. And there is a new poll out that examines the relationship between proper sleep and depressive symptoms. I want to bring in now sleep expert Dr. Joseph Dervesky. He is joining us on the digital desk. And doctor, it's good to see you. Did you get enough sleep this morning?
Well, I'm doing several of these interviews today, so my sleep might have been a little disrupted last night.
Yeah, well, I work in the mornings, and I'll tell you, sometimes I don't have the best schedule, and I'll need a nap later in the day. But I'm curious about this new poll. What did this new sleep poll find?
And so the National Sleep Foundation conducts an annual Sleep in America poll, the premier public poll that examines attitudes, behaviors, trends around sleep. And this year, marking our 25th anniversary of Sleep Awareness Week, our poll focused on sleep health and mental health. And the results were pretty striking. First, starting on a positive note, we found that over 90% of adults who have good sleep health also are free of significant depressive symptoms. However, nearly 7 out of every 10 adults who are dissatisfied with their sleep report mild or greater levels of depressive symptoms. Adults who have just 2 nights a week with difficulties falling asleep or staying asleep have higher levels of depressive symptoms. And 50% of adults who don't get the National Sleep Foundation recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night also have significant levels of depressive symptoms. So quite striking and strong relationship between sleep health and mental health.
Yeah, no question about that. No question about that, Doctor. I'm curious, though, because none of what you said surprises me. I'm just wondering, is there any differences from this year compared to last year?
Yeah, so this year, again, marking that 25th anniversary of Sleep Awareness Week, we really wanted our Sleep in America poll to focus on a highly impactful topic. Given recent comments from the U.S. Surgeon General, statements by the National Institutes on Health, Centers for Disease Control, we thought that there couldn't be a more important time to focus on something like the link between our sleep health and mental health. In previous years, our poll focuses on sleep and other topics, whether that's bedroom environment, work productivity. This year, we really wanted to focus on the mental health connection.
You know, mental health has become a center stage issue that so many of us are talking about these days coming out of this pandemic. And a lot of, when it comes to sleep, so much of our mental well-being really depends on the amount of sleep. Is that right?
Yeah, we like to think about sleep as a foundational, behavior through which we can live our best lives. So sleep health is connected to our, as I mentioned, mental health and well-being, our physical health, our social connectedness. It really touches every aspect of our lives. So getting that enough of the quality of sleep each night really sets the stage for everyone to be their best selves during the day.
So let's talk about some easy, simple steps to improve our sleep each and every night. We have thousands of people watching us, Doctor, and they're just tuning in, and they probably want to know, okay, tonight I want to get some really good sleep that's going to help me and my physical and mental being. What do I need to do?
Yeah, the National Sleep Foundation is committed to helping anyone and everyone be their best slept self. Towards that goal, we recommend 6 small steps that everyone can take. 3 steps during the day and 3 steps at night. The 3 daytime steps include things like getting exposure to bright light, especially in the morning hours, becoming more physically active, getting exercise like several days a week, and eating your meals at consistent times each day. During the evening hours, we encourage everyone to refrain from alcohol, tobacco, and heavy meals before bedtime. We want everyone to enjoy a relaxing wind down routine that involves putting those electronic devices away about an hour before bed, and that also allows for 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Prioritize your sleep. And finally, where you sleep also matters. Sleep in a sleep-friendly environment. Keep your room cool, keep it dark, keep it quiet. Importantly, our poll did show that people who engage in these healthy sleep behaviors, number one, sleep better, and number two, are also less likely to experience significant depressive symptoms. Now, we also know that there's more work that we can do because the average US adult only engages in about 60% of these behaviors across a typical week.
Okay, sleep expert Dr. Joseph Durjevsky. We really appreciate some of these guidelines here. Before we let you go, is there a place online where some of our viewers can get this information you talked about?
Yes, we'd love all your viewers to visit us online at theNSF.org. We've been the nation's trusted source for sleep-related information and sleep health-related information for over 30 years. So please visit us online.
Okay, appreciate it. Dr. Durjevsky, thanks so very much.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, good morning. A warm front lifting north through the Mid-South and bringing some rain. Look at that batch of rain just west of Little Rock. That's heading our direction. So you'll have these on and off showers all day today. This is 9 a.m. on First Alert Futurecast. Most of us still getting some rain, and those showers continue on and off through at least noon today along and south of I-40 up towards Dyersburg and into Tipton and Lauderdale County as well as Crockett County. May see a break in the rain around noon, but all of us will have the potential for showers through tonight. At 5 o'clock, many areas in North Mississippi seeing a break at that point, but those showers continue to develop here through around 11 o'clock or midnight. Some of these storms tonight at 11 o'clock, midnight tonight in North Mississippi and eastern Arkansas may have some gusty winds and some small hail as well. But I'm mostly concerned with the threat for some flooding. We've seen a lot of rain recently. We could tack on another inch of rain in Tunica today, about 1.5 inches in Oxford, 1/4 to a 1/2 inch from Memphis and to Wynn, West Memphis, and spots like Helena still seeing about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch of rain too. As I mentioned, there is that chance for us to maybe have a few strong storms. 1 out of 5 for those for winds and hail in North Mississippi, eastern Arkansas. Most of us, though, won't see any thunderstorms, and in fact, that severe chance is really low. Like I said, the main thing I'm concerned with is that flash flooding potential, and that's mostly because we've already had a lot of rain. On average, we normally get around 1.5 inches. We are 2 inches above normal for the month so far, and the month just started, so who knows how much we'll end up having by the end of the month. So temperatures are coming in the 50s this morning. We'll end up around 60 degrees at 3 o'clock, upper 50s between 5 and 7, and again, rain chances, they're high all day today. Your high temperature is 60 degrees, pretty close to average, which is at 62 right now, and then a low temperature tonight of 46, and after midnight, rain will be coming to an end. So that high rain chance is really just for your early evening. This weekend, Saturday at least, is mostly dry. We will have some rain rolling in Saturday night, but then Sunday it looks like a complete washout with on and off rain all day and temperatures hanging out near 60. Not only do we have to deal with rain this weekend, but also we are springing forward this weekend. That time change happens technically at 2 a.m. Sunday, but I always recommend setting your clocks forward an hour before you go to sleep on Saturday night. And also, this is a good time to replace those smoke alarm and carbon dioxide detector batteries. Now, we'll keep you updated on the rain chance for today and this weekend on our First Alert weather app. Just search for WMC, and you can download that app for free. We'll have temperatures today around 60 degrees, 60 tomorrow. Sunshine tomorrow as well, and as I mentioned, Saturday's mostly dry too. But after that Sunday rain, as that cold front moves through, it really drops down temperatures. So highs on Monday and Tuesday will only be in the lower 50s.
Okay, Brittany Bryant there giving us the latest on that 7-day forecast. Let's talk now about Memphis police investigating a fatal shooting this morning. This happened, the shooting actually happened at about 8:45 last night. This is the 1400 block of College Street. Investigators say a woman was pronounced dead on scene. 2 people are in police custody. This is an ongoing investigation. What started as a shooting investigation in downtown Memphis is moving in a different direction this morning. Here's the scene outside of Visible Music College on Madison Avenue yesterday afternoon. Police initially thought a juvenile had been shot, but investigators now say a 17-year-old tried to break into a vehicle when the owner and another man confronted him. Officers say a shot was fired. The team was taken to Regional 1, where doctors say he had a deep cut, not a gunshot. All three are in police custody. It's unclear exactly who fired the shot. Okay, so a lawsuit against the city of Memphis is in limbo this morning. Alicia Franklin says she was raped by the same man accused of killing Memphis mother and beloved teacher Eliza Fletcher. So Alicia Franklin is suing the city of Memphis for emotional damages. Action News 5's Bria Bolden has these new details for you.
Circuit Court Judge Mary Wagner must decide whether a lawsuit that's captured national attention to the Bluff City should be dismissed or move forward with certain language removed.
The city is in no way seeking to minimize what occurred between Ms. Franklin and Cleo the absent during their encounter. As you know, we're simply here to discuss the legal liability of her claim against the city of Memphis.
Cleo the absent Henderson is accused of kidnapping and killing Eliza Fletcher. Nearly 1 year earlier, Alicia Franklin says Henderson raped her. She says she gave Memphis police his name and cell phone number and submitted to a rape kit, which was not tested until just before Fletcher's body was found.
It has haunted her constantly that if I had just pushed the police to do their job, I could have saved her life. And so she now bears a sense of guilt over Eliza Fletcher's death because she didn't push him.
The city of Memphis attorney Tanara Gibson says the city wants Franklin's lawsuit dismissed or have claims related to Eliza Fletcher or untested rape kits taken out. Gibson says Franklin was not deprived of an investigation. There was no way of knowing what would happen to Fletcher.
There was no causal connection between Ms. Franklin's assault and Ms. Fletcher's murder.
Judge Wagner questioned Franklin's attorney whether the lawsuit would exist without the connection to Fletcher.
Because she was afraid he was going to find her and kill her. And she moved out of state to try to avoid that, but she stayed in contact with the police, and every time she would contact them, they would say, well, we have to wait on the DNA results.
Bria Bolden reporting there. Attorneys for the city of Memphis declined to comment after yesterday's hearing. Judge Wagner will issue a written order with her decision for this suit at a later date. We'll certainly keep you posted. Okay, nearly 20 hours of additional video and audio from the January 7th investigation involving Tyre Nichols that was supposed to be released yesterday was delayed by a court order. Defense attorney Blake Ballard, who represents one of the 5 former MPD officers accused of second-degree murder, filed a motion to delay the release. He argued that potential jurors could be influenced ahead of the trial. The ruling came just 24 hours after the city announced new video would be released. Local defense attorney Michael Working says in situations like this, the city and the judge have 2 separate interests.
Judges trying to make sure that people don't have a rush to judgment and view evidence before they're supposed to see it. The city works in a whole different government building than the judge, and so the city just probably thought they could let it go and they didn't think they were answering to anybody.
Yeah. Nope. The Shelby County District Attorney's Office said, quote, we will work to review the material promptly in the hopes that the majority of it will be released sooner rather than later. And the Memphis Police Department is getting ready to be reviewed by the U.S. Department of Justice. Memphis Mayor Jim Strickland, Police Chief C.J. Davis called for the federal review after the death of Tyre Nichols. 5 former officers, as we mentioned, charged with second-degree murder. The Justice Department's review will produce guidance for police chiefs and mayors all across the country to help them assess the appropriate use of specialized units and necessary training. Once the review is completed, the DOJ says community-oriented policing, or COPS, will issue a public report on the findings and the recommendations. Almost 3 years after the death of Breonna Taylor, the U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland announced some of the results of a federal investigation. DOJ said it found evidence of extensive civil rights abuses and excessive force and in the Louisville Police Department. The feds also say they found evidence of invalid search warrants. Breonna Taylor was killed when officers served a no-knock warrant at her boyfriend's apartment.
Heartbreak all over again, because I knew that to begin with. I said that from the very beginning. We've asked that question 100 times over and over for no one to ever give you a direct answer.
Law enforcement policies and practices were among the various topics at the Shelby County Commission. Sydney Gray was in the courtroom, and she gives us a look inside of what was discussed.
The first ordinance the Shelby County Commission discussed Wednesday would be to disband specialized units and task forces within the Shelby County Sheriff's Department.
As I sat in on a Memphis City Council meeting, I knew that the request specifically to us was to create something that had more strength to it rather than a resolution to bring ordinances that mirrored what was at Memphis City Council.
Some commissioners had concerns.
In this item, I'm not going to be supporting it today because I think it's very broad.
Others had concerns about overall public safety, but Commissioner Erica Sugarman supported it and said Sheriff Bonner also supports the will of the people.
There is, some applicability and some type of accountability that needs to happen within Shelby County concerning law enforcement as we're playing an active role in incidents similar to Tyre Nichols.
The vote was 3-3 with an unfavorable recommendation, but an ordinance banning biased traffic stops, limiting searches, questioning, and the use of unmarked vehicles, among other changes, did get a favorable recommendation. Organizers with Decarcerate Memphis helped write it and say data shows nearly half of tickets MPD writes were not about public safety.
We also examined criminal court cases using Shelby County records and found that a significant portion of the cases that were started with a pretextual traffic stop were actually the Shelby County Sheriff's deputies were involved in pulling over that stop.
Commissioner Miska Clay Bibb sponsored the third ordinance, the Tyre Nichols Transparency in Policing Policy, something she says is all about transparency.
That we automatically get the camera footage, that we automatically get who's involved, that we automatically get processes that take place when something happens. In that way, putting it into record, so then it can't be, oh, it's not in policy, so I don't have to respond.
It passed with a favorable recommendation. Sydney Gray, Action News 5.
Want to show you this here. This is the man accused of neglect after his 5 dogs reportedly attacked a 3-year-old child while off leash. He will be arraigned in court later this morning. Investigators say Kendall Taylor let his 5 dogs loose before they attacked the boy in South Memphis. The boy was rushed to Le Bonheur in critical condition. He's expected to be in court in just a few minutes at 9 o'clock this morning. We'll let you know what happens. Okay, Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, let me pull that one up here. Sarah Huckabee Sanders signed a measure this week loosening child labor protection laws in the state of Arkansas. Youth will no longer need to get an employment certificate which verified their age, described their work and work schedule, including written approval from a parent or guardian. This move comes as the Biden administration is cracking down on child labor violations. All right, Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris wants to build a new state-of-the-art Regional 1 hospital. The mayor's plan would create a flagship public hospital that would partner with the University of Tennessee. But this plan has a pretty hefty price tag. Joyce Peterson reports.
To replace the aging Regional 1 Health Hospital, Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris's administration says it's going to cost $750 million.
We believe that Regional 1 Health should be on campus. It is a community hospital. It's West Tennessee's only level 1 trauma center.
$350 million would come from local funding. Proposed ways to generate that money include hiking fees, raising property taxes, or doubling the wheel tax from $50 to $100. The wheel tax was created in the late 1980s as a one-time only tax to pay down county debt. 40 years later, Shelby Countyans still pay it. The Harris plan also calls for an influx of state money.
Relationships with the state and federal government are a little bit better because Mayor Strickland is getting hundreds of millions of dollars for things. But even though he disagrees with the state on a lot of things, that relationship is there. I don't even want to quantify the lack of the relationship on this side.
Mayor Strickland's administration successfully campaigned for state funding to renovate Liberty Stadium and FedEx Forum. Governor Bill Lee committed $350 million to the projects. Reaction from Mayor Harris's second in command.
I applaud the mayor of the city of Memphis on the other side for getting hundreds of millions of dollars for amenities like basketball arenas and such, and we appreciate. But our work is for the children and the uninsured in Shelby County.
In a committee meeting Wednesday, commissioners voted to send the discussion to the full commission March 20th.
I know I'm ready to have a hard conversation with people in District 6 that it's something that we have to address.
That was Joyce Peterson reporting. Mayor Harris proposed increasing the wheel tax before, which was unsuccessful. It would have gone to raise money to improve MATA. This time, funding for Regional 1 also tied to raising money to build 2 new high schools, including one in Cordova. Several commissioners expressed concern about that, about how fast the process is moving without a lot of information. We'll certainly keep you posted on that. Andrew Douglas at the Action News 5 digital desk. There is an amazing medical community in Memphis and the Mid-South. Most of us who have been here for a significant period of time know that. And I want to tell you about a center of innovation at Regional 1 Health that's really kind of expanding some of the great things that are happening in our medical community here. I'm joined by Alejandra Alvarez, Director for the Center of Innovation, at Regional 1 Health. How are you? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Good. So tell me, I've never heard of this, so tell me what the Center of Innovation is.
Absolutely. So we are a division of Regional 1 Health that was created back in 2016 with the goal of providing a platform that aims to inspire and cultivate new ideas, research, and technology from within the organization, so members within the hospital, as well as the community and entrepreneurs and anyone who's disrupting healthcare through the use of innovation.
That sounds interesting. Sounds very cutting edge, Alejandra. Tell me some of the specifics that I guess it's been around for a little bit. Tell me some of the specifics that have come out of the center that maybe our audience would know about.
Absolutely. So we run 2 different programs. One is aimed for our internal members, and that's called the Innovation Lab, where we are building innovation by capturing ideas from our members and seeing if they prove to be valid value propositions. The other is our Healthcare Startup Access Incubator, and that's probably something that the community may have heard, and that is an incubator aimed at startups, healthcare startups. And some of those companies or individuals that have participated in that incubator are Cast 21, which is a company that provided or has developed an alternative cast to orthopedic injuries. We've got Sweet Bio, who also is headquartered in Memphis here as well, and they have developed a bioengineer moon product made out of Manuka honey. And most recently, we are currently working with a company called Wellways, and they have developed a thermal sensor device that aims at detecting abnormalities in the breast in hopes of improving early cancer detection. So those are some of the participants in our healthcare access incubator. One of the programs that is aimed at external community members, entrepreneurs in the community, as a way to see how we can contribute to disrupting healthcare, changing healthcare locally as well as beyond.
I love some of these innovations. Thank you so much for sharing them with us, because it's something that everyone can relate to, get behind, and really share in the successes of them. I guess it's one of those things where it really does pinpoint exactly how important some of these innovations are to have in the medical community, not just here in Memphis and the Mid-South, but all over the world, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if we can be a part of that change, we definitely want to be part of that. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how well do you work with these innovators to say, okay, let's start this, let's do this, we believe in what you're doing? I mean, do they come to you and pitch this idea and then you guys get behind it? How does it exactly work?
Yeah, so for that specific program, we're very involved with the community. So usually it's a referral type of relation or connection that happens at first. And then we work specifically with startup companies that are between what we call the angel stage to Series A stage. And that's basically saying they're very early on in their development process to becoming a startup. They've got an idea for a service or a product, or or they've got a service or product already created and are looking for validation. So one of the key things about our program is that beyond, contributing and helping startups, we are helping ensure their success rate after they've started a company. And we do that through validation. So our incubator brings them in to say, hey, does this product or service actually provide the value that we intended when we developed it? And so we put together a scope of work document that says, here's what the company needs in terms of validation, right? Is this the right design of the product? Is this the right size of the product? Is this the right product, period, or service? And then how should I price it? Is there anything that I should know that could inform my prototype design or my go-to market strategy? And so at the end of the program, we hope that through that experience and that incubation, their chances at success are greater because they had the opportunity to validate. Typically, a lot of startups don't get that chance. And if they do, it's usually, after they've spent a lot of money, a lot of time. And one of the things that we know startups, are limited in is initial funding. And so if we can help them get to that yes or no question sooner and have an opportunity to tweak their product as they're going through the process, their chance at success once they do enter the market grows.
It's fascinating. It really is. I like hearing this process, Alejandra. Tell me, how do you find these companies to work with? Do they initially make the first suggestion, or do they contact you? Do you contact them? Is it a little bit of both?
It's a little bit of both. Usually, they can contact us directly through our website, but we also do a lot of engagement activities throughout the community, like seminars, conferences, workshops, and not just in Memphis. We've traveled throughout the state of Tennessee, and through, again, referrals of relationships that we have established, we have been able to also reach companies that are outside of Tennessee. For example, Cast 21 is a company that is actually headquartered in Chicago, but through a lot of the medical and startup support ecosystem that exists in Memphis, they were able to come here and engage with us. And so, again, it's a combination of either you found us directly through our site or in searching for something like this, or through one of our engagement activities that we perform.
This kind of center of innovation at Regional One, is it something that you see at every hospital? Is it something that you see across every region? Because it sounds fantastic. It sounds like most hospitals, most big, large hospitals should have this type of innovation center, or is this just unique to Regional One?
So I think the way that we've designed our program and is unique, is very unique. I will say that there are centers for innovation throughout the country. You can pretty much execute that in different ways. There's a lot of technology transfer efforts that occur most often than the traditional in a traditional way in terms of how people engage with innovation. But there's innovation centers throughout the country. The programmatic efforts that they perform are a little bit different. They vary depending on what kind of engagement they want to perform. Technology transfer offices are very common as well. But what I would say about us is that our program is specifically designed to sort of be more of an open door system versus, we are in a very regulated environment or industry. And so we've been able to put together a unique program that not only accounts for all of the regulation and things that we have to abide by, but also still allow the individual to come in and still allow the individual to incubate and learn and from that inspire new ideas, research, and technology.
All right. So where can we go? If someone's watching this, they want to learn more about the Center of Innovation, where should they go?
So they can visit our website. We are at www.innovation.regional1health.org to learn a lot more. There's contact information there if they wanted to reach out directly to me or any one of our team members.
Alejandra, is there anything else you want to mention that we haven't talked about yet?
I think I want to say, this is a very selfish statement, but basically, this program, and as well as the Memphis ecosystem, we have a very excellent ecosystem that supports entrepreneurs, that supports innovators, specifically those in healthcare. And I think that is something to be said about Memphis. And we're very proud of our program. We're very proud of our city, and to be able to bring this forward through Regional One Health, is even better. Our hospital system is sort of at the core of the community. We're a safety net hospital. We provide care to the majority of our community members. So to invest in these types of activities and programs is something to be said about us and about our city. So we thank you for the opportunity to share that message.
Well, we thank you for all your hard work. We appreciate everything that you're doing at the Center of Innovation, and congratulations on the success, because not only are you successful there, Alejandra Alvarez, but you're successful and your success is making us all proud here across Memphis and the Mid-South. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, let's talk about coming up this hour on the Action News 5 digital desk. If you're like me and thousands of other people traveling for spring break, we have some great ways and some suggestions to avoid frustration at the airport with a live interview coming up later this morning. Also, have you filed your taxes yet? We're going to tell you what you need to know to file your taxes for free, and a Tony Award-winning show featuring a Memphian in one of the lead roles. We'll introduce you to him, tell you about the show that is at the Orpheum right now. But before we get to all that, I want to show you a live picture downtown from our High Five camera, downtown Memphis, I should say. That is the I-40 bridge. It's cloudy. It's a little chilly out there. As you can see, 49 degrees. And we had some showers earlier in today, and unfortunately, there may be some showers later in the day. Meteorologist Brittany Bryan has details.
Hey, good morning. A warm front lifting north through the Mid-South and bringing some rain. Look at that batch of rain just west of Little Rock. That's heading our direction. So you'll have these on and off showers all day today. This is 9 a.m. on First Alert Futurecast. Most of us still getting some rain, and those showers continue on and off through at least noon today along and south of I-40 up towards Dyersburg and into Tipton and Lauderdale County, as well as Crockett County. May see a break in the rain around noon, but all of us will have the potential for showers through tonight. At 5 o'clock, many areas in North Mississippi seeing a break at that point, but those showers continue to develop here through around 11 o'clock or midnight. Some of these storms tonight at 11 o'clock, midnight tonight in North Mississippi and eastern Arkansas may have some gusty winds and some small hail as well. But I'm mostly concerned with the threat for some flooding. We've seen a lot of rain recently. We could tack on another inch of rain in Tunica today, about 1.5 inches in Oxford, 1/4 to a 1/2 inch from Memphis into Wynne, West Memphis, and spots like Helena still seeing about a 1/2 inch to an inch of rain too. As I mentioned, there is that chance for us to maybe have a few strong storms, a 1 out of 5 for those for winds and hail in North Mississippi, eastern Arkansas. Most of us, though, won't see any thunderstorms, and in fact, that severe chance is really low. Like I said, the main thing I'm concerned with is that flash flooding potential, and that's mostly because we've already had a lot of rain. On average, we normally get around 1.5 inches. We are 2 inches above normal for the month so far, and the month just started, so who knows how much we'll end up having by the end of the month. So temperatures are coming in the 50s this morning. We'll end up around 60 degrees at 3 o'clock, upper 50s between 5 and 7, and again, rain chances, they're high all day today. Your high temperature is 60 degrees, pretty close to average, which is at 62 right now, and then a low temperature tonight of 46, and after midnight, rain will be coming to an end. So that high rain chance is really just for your early evening. This weekend, Saturday at least, is mostly dry. We will have some rain rolling in Saturday night, but then Sunday it looks like a complete washout with on and off rain all day and temperatures hanging out near 60. Not only do we have to deal with rain this weekend, but also we are springing forward this weekend. That time change happens technically at 2 a.m. Sunday, but I always recommend setting your clocks forward an hour before you go to sleep on Saturday night. And also, this is a good time to replace those smoke alarm and carbon dioxide detector batteries. Now, we'll keep you updated on the rain chance for today and this weekend on our First Alert weather app. Just search for WMC, and you can download that app for free. We'll have temperatures today around 60 degrees, 60 tomorrow. Sunshine tomorrow as well, and as I mentioned, Saturday's mostly dry too. But after that Sunday rain, as that cold front moves through, it really drops down temperatures. So highs on Monday and Tuesday will only be in the lower 50s.
Okay, meteorologist Brittany Bryan giving us an update on the forecast, and certainly that is pretty typical in March. You see all kinds of weather, all kinds of differences in March. In fact, we know that spring, the official day of spring, is March 20th this year. That's on a Monday. But let's talk about some of the scams that we have to deal with, unfortunately, when bad weather strikes. In fact, we have our consumer investigator, Carice Jackman, explaining how you can spot a scammer so you can avoid that and what's considered a second disaster. Watch.
As the mercury starts to climb and winter fades, for many across the U.S., the threat of severe storms will rise.
You're like me, you live in Tornado Alley. You can kind of set your clock to something, going wrong, around March. So it's always best to have a plan in place because unfortunately, storms strike quickly and the devastation that is incurred sometimes strikes even quicker.
Josh Planos with the Better Business Bureau says no matter the region you're in, you should have a personal plan for bad weather and the potential aftermath. But along with that plan, Plano says you should prepare to avoid scammers posing as contractors, the federal government, or charities as they try to steal your personal information and money.
Unfortunately, we see folks who are really looking to weaponize, everything from lumber to, new identification cards and kind of everything in between.
The Federal Communications Commission issued guidelines on staying safe from those posing as legit contractors. If someone calls you about an insurance claim, don't give out any personal information or agree to any payment until you can independently verify that call is legitimate. The FCC also warned contractors may claim to be a partner with your insurance company. They caution to never give policy numbers, coverage details, or other personal information out to companies with whom you have not entered into a contract.
A lot of municipalities require solicitation permits. If salespeople go door to door, should ask for identification, check their vehicle for a business name, a phone number, a license plate for your state or province. Right, it's a pretty typical giveaway if someone is driving in from out of state.
And remember, government disaster assistance agencies do not call or text asking for financial account information, and there is no fee required to apply for or get disaster assistance from FEMA or the Small Business Administration. With this watching your wallet, I'm Carice Jackman.
Split the screen now. I want to show you one of our SmartWay cameras. Digital Desk anchor and producer Amanda Hansen alerted us to this issue here. Big traffic mess on I-240 northbound, just north of Union. And you can see this. There's several cars there on the right shoulder. It is causing major delays in this area, Midtown Memphis. Again, I-240 north, just north of Union there. Expect delays. They have 2 lanes open, but as you can see there, that is slow going right now for traffic as we just approach 9:10 in the morning. So we're just watching that. We're also seeing still major delays on 385 at Houston Levee in Collierville. We don't have a camera there, but there have been delays there since a crash several hours ago. So if you can, avoid that area. All right, Grizzlies superstar Ja Morant will remain, quote, away from the team for at least the next 4 games. That includes tonight against Golden State. He was sidelined after a social media post went viral showing him with a gun at a Colorado nightclub. Authorities in Colorado say the incident happened at a place called Shotgun Willie's. Investigators say there's not enough evidence to file any kind of criminal charges. And with the additional 4 games away from the team, Ja's earliest return would be next Friday against the Spurs, or it could be the first home game, which would be the Saturday night game against the Golden State Warriors at FedEx Forum. We'll just have to wait and see how that all works out. President Joe Biden will unveil his budget this afternoon in Philadelphia. Some Republicans are leery about what that includes. John Lawrence has more.
The Biden administration says its budget for fiscal year 2024 will cut the country's deficit by $3 trillion over the next 10 years.
We see this as a value statement on what the president sees in the future of this country, and so he wanted to make sure it was fiscally responsible.
According to the White House, the deficit reductions will be covered by tax reforms towards the wealthy and large corporations and less spending on special interests like big oil and big pharma.
We take this very seriously when we think about the fiscal responsibility, when we think about how do we move forward, not just for Americans today, but for Americans, other generations that are going to be coming behind us.
The budget proposal isn't expected to go far as is on Capitol Hill, since Republicans are in charge of the House.
Raising taxes in a low-growth economy like this will only hurt us more and put us into recession.
Biden's budget proposal aims to undermine GOP arguments trying to tie deficit reduction to raising the U.S. debt ceiling, which the White House says should be dealt with separately.
The sooner we get together, the better off all America will be. So I'm looking forward to him being willing to sit down and be able to move this forward.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Okay, so the spring break travel period. Well, that begins today at Memphis International Airport. It runs from March 9th through March 13th, and more than 41,000 people are expected to pass through the security checkpoint during this time. And what we're hearing is this could be the busiest time for the Memphis airport in over 15 years. Now, the peak day is expected to be tomorrow, with more than 9,000 people projected to pass through the checkpoint there. Now, the airport is sharing some ways and some advice to assist passengers. They recommend passengers arrive at the airport at least 2 hours before their scheduled departure time. The airport is also prepared to activate an overflow parking area should the economy short-term and long-term garages reach capacity. If that happens, signs will be posted. In fact, later this morning here on the Action News 5 digital desk, I believe at around 10:30, we're going to be talking with Memphis International Airport about this very issue, spring break, and how busy it is expected to be, with things really kicking into high gear tomorrow. Want to also let you know about this job fair that's happening at St. Francis Hospital, both in Memphis and in Bartlett. So they're hosting a fair for full-time, part-time positions, PRN positions as well, for registered nurses, LPNs, and nursing assistants. Okay, so the two locations St. Francis has, both in Memphis and Bartlett. The job fair in Memphis starts at 10 o'clock this morning, less than an hour away, and then the one in Bartlett starts at 3 o'clock this afternoon. It is something that we are following here on Action News 5 and the digital desk. Also happening today, Manassas Booker T. Washington Mental Health and Family Wellness. That's what we're talking about here. They are talking about the Slam the Stigma of Mental Health event. That's going to be at 3:45 this afternoon at Manassas High School Family Wellness Center. There's going to be all kinds of giveaways, games, food, resources for improving mental health. It'll be available for everybody involved. More than 100 million Americans file their taxes when they don't have to. In this Watching Your Wallet report, we have consumer investigator Rachel DePompa to tell you what you need to know to file your taxes for free.
70% of Americans qualify to file their federal income taxes for free, but just 3.1% of Americans actually did in 2021, according to a new report from NerdWallet. To know if you qualify for free file, your adjusted gross income must be $73,000 or less. The IRS changes those income qualifications each year. Elizabeth Renter, a data analyst with NerdWallet, says more than 100 million Americans are missing out on the free filing because people are either unaware of the service or they are having trouble figuring out how to access it.
I think that's probably what a lot of it is due to, just a lack of information. For the IRS's part, they say they send out the information in press releases and on social media, but I don't know about you. I don't follow the IRS on social media, so I'm missing all of those notifications.
Also, if you Google, how can I file my federal taxes for free, you might end up on a software provider website that is not connected with the Free File Alliance offered by the IRS.
The difference between that and some software providers is while they may have a free version of their software, you'll be offered upgrades along the way. You may be convinced that you need audit protection. You may be convinced you need to pay more for help on it. The Free File Alliance software will not do that.
To find your free filing options, go to the IRS website. It's irs.gov/freefile. From there, you'll click on Use Free Guided Tax Preparation. The site will walk you through choosing a provider that is part of the Free File Alliance. Now, they'll ask you questions about your age, your location, and these Free File programs will steer you into a provider that is part of this alliance, which ensures that you will not pay to create your federal tax return if you qualify. With This Watching Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas in the Action News 5 digital desk. Let's discuss colorectal cancer for a moment because it is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. And in recent years, we've heard about the deaths of certain actors like Kirstie Alley and Chadwick Boseman, and it's put a new national spotlight on colorectal cancer. Believe it or not, it is the third most common cancer diagnosed in the U.S. Let's bring in someone who knows a little bit about colorectal cancer and ways to prevent it and ways to get tested. Dr. Roberto Rodriguez-Rusca. He joins us now. He is a fellow of the American College of Surgeons and colorectal surgeon at the Texas Colon and Rectal Specialist Baylor. Good morning, doctor. How are you?
Good morning. Good. How about you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So let's talk a little bit about colorectal cancer and who is most at risk.
Everybody's at risk for developing colon cancer. Certainly individuals that have family history of colon cancer are at more risk, and also patients that have inflammatory bowel disease.
What are the most common signs and symptoms of colorectal cancer? I know that it's one of those that you want to catch early because if you don't, it's much more dangerous and problematic.
Yes. What everybody needs to know is that most colon cancers are asymptomatic, and in other words, no symptoms at all. Unfortunately, once the symptoms occur, it may be too late. So it's important to develop the routine of screening individuals younger than 45. It's a new guideline that came out through the American Society of Colorectal Surgeons and the American Cancer Society. Many societies are supporting screening patients when they're asymptomatic. But the symptoms, the most common symptoms are changing bowel habits, blood in the stool, abdominal pain, weight loss, anemia.
So I know that the years and the ages of people who get screened for colorectal cancer, that has come down in recent years. Can you tell me why it's come down and the screening? Can you just go to any doctor, or does it have to be specifically certain kinds of doctors? What's the easiest way for someone that's watching right now to get screened?
So the age originally was 50 years, but because of the incidence of colon cancer has increased in younger individuals, societies have lowered the age of screening, which is 45. The way to get screened, there's many ways of screening. Stool tests that you can do at home, colonoscopies that can be also done for screening and imaging studies. There's many different ways. Through your primary care physician, they can order a stool test for screening. you certainly would need to see a physician to have a colonoscopy performed, which is the gold standard for screening colon cancer.
There are a lot of people that when they hear colonoscopy, they immediately they tense up and they're very intimidated by that whole process once it's explained to them. What advice would you give someone who's reluctant to get screened for colon cancer?
Don't hesitate, don't procrastinate, just get screened. If you reach the age of screening, just go ahead and follow through with any mode of testing. I know colonoscopy has the stigma of being uncomfortable, but it's really not that uncomfortable. Probably the most challenging part is just the preparation, where you need to get cleaned out before and stay on clear liquid diet to achieve cleansing of your colon in addition to a laxative. But is done under sedation for colonoscopies in most instances. And if you are still reluctant to proceed with that, at least take the advantage of stool test home kits that can be done, and your primary care physician can order that, or any physician can take care of that.
Doctor, is there anything else you want to mention? We have thousands of people that watch us each and every morning here. Anything else you want to say to them? I know it is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. What else would you like to say?
Well, I think the most important thing about colon cancer is that it's curable and it's preventable. And that's the most important thing. Prevention is the key to defeat this disease.
Okay, Dr. Roberto Rodriguez Rusca, we really appreciate your time this morning. Thanks very much for your insight and your analysis on this Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. Appreciate it.
All right, well, how about the spring, the summer months? I know I'm looking forward to them. It's starting to feel like that outside here in the Mid-South. But of course, with that comes allergy season, and no one likes that. The sniffles, the sneezing, the itchy eyes. Well, joining us now to talk more about how to deal with it, the best treatment options, is physician's assistant Victoria Vanacore. She is with St. Francis Medical Partners. Good morning. How's it going?
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad to have you on. I'm glad that audio is working perfectly and we can get things going. So I guess let's go ahead and dive in and just talk about some of the causes that lead to these allergies that are just so.
Yeah, so here in the Memphis area, we rank in the top 3 cities for seasonal allergies. The springtime especially can be very brutal here. It is not the flowers really to blame for the spring allergies as much as the tree pollens. Right now, a lot of the trees are in bloom. Pecan, walnut, cedar, birch willow, all of these are the most predominant allergies that we are seeing in the springtime here in this area.
And so let's go ahead and talk about the symptoms. You were mentioning it is awful here in the Mid-South when it comes to allergies. I have friends that moved from other parts of the country to Memphis, and they're just like, I never had allergies, and now I'm dealing with the mess of them. And now they're like, I understand why it's so annoying. So let's just talk about some of the symptoms that some people experience with this type of thing.
Absolutely. So allergy symptoms can range from a mere inconvenience to really debilitating symptoms. Most commonly, itchy eyes, watery eyes, runny nose, stuffy nose, nasal congestion. It varies, from person to person. But like I said, here in the Mid-South, if you're an allergy sufferer, this is a tough time of year for a lot of people. Some people get that ear fullness where your ears feel really clogged. And again, that's just all due to this pollen.
And I guess the big thing people want to know is if I'm dealing with this, if all of a sudden, I'm dealing with the itchy eyes, the kind of the cold-like symptoms, what are some of the best ways to maybe handle something like that? Is it something like Claritin, or what would you recommend for people to be able to kind of help ease those symptoms?
Absolutely. So over the counter, we have a lot of medications that are available for us to combat these allergies. I usually recommend to my patients starting on these antihistamines usually in February or so that we can build that antihistamine level up in our system, and that so we're ready when everything is in full bloom, which is usually by the beginning of March here. As you can see, these last few days have been pretty bad with the pollen. So Claritin, Zyrtec, Allegra, those are all over-the-counter options that are good. Of course, speaking with your medical provider to see what's best for you is certainly important. There are also nasal sprays available that contain steroids, such as Flonase or Nasonex, also available over the counter. So we do have a lot of options, and it's very important that we educate our patients on what those options are.
And I think a lot of people sometimes don't. Is there a difference when you talk about having a cold and allergies? Because a lot of times it seems like the symptoms are very similar. At what point would you maybe say, I need to go see a doctor? Or is there really much of a difference when you start to think about the symptoms and whatnot?
So there is. Typically, of course, the symptoms do overlap. Common cold is caused by a virus. Viruses tend to run their course 5 to 10 days in most healthy people. Viruses resolve. So the problem with allergy symptoms is if they are not managed, these symptoms persist for a very long time, throughout the entire season sometimes. So you're talking about months. The other thing is, viruses, colds tend to cause fever, whereas allergies do not. So that's a real big indicator. If you're not running a fever, but you're just constantly congested with those symptoms, then you really should consider that it is allergy.
Good advice, good information there. Anything else you want to mention as far as preventative type measures that people can take? Do dehumidifiers help? Is there other things outside of just the medications that can help?
Absolutely. So, some people are a little hesitant to take something every day. We have other options. You can simply use a nasal saline, which is just salt water to help flush your nasal cavities, flush those sinus cavities. Also changing the air filters in your home. In the wintertime, these mold spores just go inactive, and as the spring comes, these reactivate. So changing those filters out, most filters will tell you every 90 days to change them. So every spring, definitely, get those filters changed. If you're working outside, if you're doing yard work, wearing an N95 mask is very helpful so that you are not inhaling all of these allergens.
Good tips there. And outside of just the spring and summer and the allergy season and whatnot, I know a week from now we're going to be springing forward, so we're going to lose an hour of sleep. And of course, they talk about how that can have impacts on your body and that sort of thing. Do you have any advice for people as we go to make that shift to maybe help ease that transition a little bit?
Yes, so daylight savings is always a tough time of year. Losing that hour of sleep is never easy, especially when you have young kids at home. They don't quite understand the time change either. One thing I always recommend is starting early. Even now, about a week in advance, just going to bed about 15 minutes earlier each night so that you can prepare yourself for that time change so that you're still getting your solid sleep every night. Ideally 7 to 9 hours per night is the sleep that our bodies require. And when you lose that hour, if you don't prepare early, you could find yourself extremely tired that day of daylight savings.
And for me, I will say I do like I don't like losing the hour of sleep. I don't think anybody does. But I will say that I do enjoy having that additional sunlight in the evenings and whatnot. Are there benefits to having that additional sunlight when it comes to that sort of thing?
There is. Our bodies need sunlight. We need to make sure we're getting adequate sunlight. That increases the serotonin levels in our brain and allows us to function well every day. So definitely getting up and getting that sunlight, taking advantage. The days are a little bit longer. We do have a little more sunlight as far as, the sun setting later since that clock goes forward. So definitely make sure you're getting plenty of sunlight. If we can be outside, getting that light, getting our exercise, staying in a routine too with our sleep. It's important to wind down in the evening times, have a good nighttime routine, whether that's reading a book or just laying in a nice, quiet, dark room, getting those screens put away. A lot of people on their iPads or iPhones at night, that could be very detrimental to our sleeping habits. So daylight savings aside, we want to make sure we are putting those devices down at least 1 to 2 hours before heading into bed for the evening.
For sure, people don't realize how important sleep is when it comes to their overall health. Victoria Vanacore, physician's assistant with St. Francis Medical Partners, I appreciate your time this morning, and you have a good rest of the day, all right?
Thank you so much.
Hey, good morning. A warm front lifting north through the Mid-South and bringing some rain. Look at that batch of rain just west of Little Rock. That's heading our direction. So you'll have these on and off showers all day today. This is 9 a.m. on First Alert Futurecast. Most of us still getting some rain, and those showers continue on and off through at least noon today along and south of I-40 up towards Dyersburg and into Tipton and Lauderdale County as well as Crockett County. May see a break in the rain around noon, but all of us will have the potential for showers through tonight. At 5 o'clock, many areas in North Mississippi seeing a break at that point, but those showers continue to develop here through around 11 o'clock or midnight. Some of these storms tonight at 11 o'clock, midnight tonight in North Mississippi and eastern Arkansas may have some gusty winds and some small hail as well. But I'm mostly concerned with the threat for some flooding. We've seen a lot of rain recently. We could tack on another inch of rain in Tunica today, about 1.5 inches in Oxford, 1/4 to 1/2 inch from Memphis and to Wynne, West Memphis, and spots like Helena still seeing about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch of rain too. As I mentioned, there is that chance for us to maybe have a few strong storms, a 1 out of 5 for those for winds and hail in North Mississippi, eastern Arkansas. Most of us, though, won't see any thunderstorms, and in fact, that severe chance is really low. Like I said, the main thing I'm concerned with is that flash flooding potential, and that's mostly because we've already had a lot of rain. On average, we normally get around 1.5 inches. We are 2 inches above normal for the month so far, and the month just started, so who knows how much we'll end up having by the end of the month. So temperatures are coming in the 50s this morning. We'll end up around 60 degrees at 3 o'clock, upper 50s between 5 and 7, and again, rain chances, they're high all day today. Your high temperature is 60 degrees, pretty close to average, which is at 62 right now, and then a low temperature tonight of 46, and after midnight, rain will be coming to an end. So that high rain chance is really just for your early evening. This weekend, Saturday at least, is mostly dry. We will have some rain rolling in Saturday night, but then Sunday it looks like a complete washout with on and off rain all day and temperatures hanging out near 60. Not only do we have to deal with rain this weekend, but also we are springing forward this weekend. That time change happens technically at 2 a.m. Sunday, but I always recommend setting your clocks forward an hour before you go to sleep on Saturday night. And also, this is a good time to replace those smoke alarm and carbon dioxide detector batteries. Now, we'll keep you updated on the rain chance for today and this weekend on our First Alert weather app. Just search for WMC, and you can download that app for free. We'll have temperatures today around 60 degrees, 60 tomorrow. Sunshine tomorrow as well, and as I mentioned, Saturday's mostly dry too. But after that Sunday rain, as that cold front moves through, it really drops down temperatures. So highs on Monday and Tuesday will only be in the lower 50s.
We talked to our friend Talisa Franklin at WAVN, The Trend. Talisa, what's going on today? How are you?
I am wonderful. It is a terrific Tuesday. I am so grateful to be in the city of Memphis on a Tuesday. You know, there's no better place that I would rather be in the world than in Memphis. I tell you. You know, so many people have so many negative things to say, but I'm one of these people. I believe in Memphis. I believe in our city. And so I'm grateful. And we got so many great things that's happening in our city that make you want to believe even the more, right?
Yes, absolutely. I'm certainly a glass half full kind of guy as well, Talisa. And boy, you know, one of the things it'll hit you right when you hit the door is the amazing sunshine and the amazing weather we are having right now. It's technically still winter, believe it or not.
It feels so good. I'm telling you, last night I went for my night walk and I was like, oh my God, it just feels amazing. And then it's Women's Month. Hello, women's. It's our month. And so women, it is imperative that we enjoy ourselves, enjoy this beautiful weather, whether you're inside or outside. It's Women's Month. Okay, let's do something for us.
Yes, exactly. And I know, Talisa, you got a lot of stuff happening it is Women's Month, International Women's Month. Tell us what's going on in your world.
Well, this Saturday, one of my dear friends and sisters, Sheila Floyd, Pastor Sheila Floyd, they are having at their church a Women in Business Expo, right? This Saturday, what makes me love this event, if anybody know the Floyds, Ambassador Ricky D. Floyd and Pastor Sheila Floyd, they love people, but this event is hosted by Pastor Sheila Floyd. She is the pastor of that church along with her husband, Women in Business. So women, if you are a woman that you're in business, listen, be a part of this expo. And then listen, if you're not in business, come out to the expo and support so many women that have committed their life to be in business, and let's support them. Women, we support women. And so I am encouraging each and every woman to drop by this Saturday at 11 a.m. at the Pursuit of God Church Transformation Center, 3759 North Watkins in Memphis, and be a part and celebrate these women and spend, I don't care if you have $5 or $500 to impact another woman. Go and spend that and encourage another woman while they're in business. Because I can tell you, from a business owner myself, business sometimes can be challenging, but it's nothing like having people say, I support you, I support you. And not only say it, but use their dollars and use their money to support. So I'm encouraging every woman, if you're not a part of the event, listen, come out and just support, and let's be one big happy ladies family. So Women in Business Expo 2023, be there this Saturday. And then what's coming up, many people are threatening, don't know what's going on with their home buyers. Rashida does an amazing job with this 2023 Black Developers Housing Summit, shifting the paradigm through equity and access. Listen, on this following March 9th through the 11th, this weekend, if you're anywhere in the area, go to the Black Housing Summit, get the information. They have put together a Power Pack weekend to help people navigate through this housing market, right? It is a crazy market, but you can navigate through it. So this weekend, we have two powerful things, and you can support two powerful women that is doing an absolutely an amazing job. Rashida is doing the thing, and I'm so proud of her. Rashida Jones and Pastor Ricky D. Floyd, wife Sheila Floyd, is doing two women event this weekend. I encourage every woman to support, because I'm going to make sure I get by and support both of those events, because supporting women means something to me.
I know it does,
we got to get
Talisa.
there.
I know it does. Well, listen, always appreciate talking to you. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we know paying for college can be so expensive, and that's why One Memphian created a scholarship to help upcoming first-generation college students apply to college. Action News 5's Taylor Tucker has more.
I'm the first person in my family to graduate from a four-year university, first to graduate with my master's, to join a fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and the first in my family to relocate to a new state other than to attend school.
D'Angelo Collier is breaking the family curse. Although he didn't receive any scholarships when he was applying for college, he's hoping to help out local students with his own scholarship.
They still apply, still go to college, because again, God is in the blessing business, and you never know how your life would turn out if you attend college.
To apply for the Breaking the Family Curse scholarship, you must be a graduating high school senior in Memphis, an upcoming first-generation college student, and must be able to answer these three questions.
What are the generational curses in their family? How are they going to break their family generational curses? And why do they feel they should be awarded the scholarship?
Collier was inspired by his book, Breaking the Family Curse, Testimony Still Loading. The two winners of the scholarship will be awarded $500, the majority of that funding coming out of Collier's pocket.
Just try to apply to everything. A no is a no, but if they say yes, you get the scholarship.
Okay, so we are celebrating women this morning. Memphian and author Tara Stringfellow was one of 16 2023 honorees selected for a Women's Prize for Fiction. She was singled out for her excellence of her debut novel entitled Memphis. She's won high praise for her story of 3 generations of a fictional family. Certainly, it's something that everyone has been excited about. Okay, so season tickets and individual game tickets are on sale for the Memphis Showboats. The season, well, it starts right around the corner here, April 15th, and season tickets starts at $30. An individual game ticket starts at $10. All 6 Memphis Showboats games and 4 Houston Gamblers games will be played at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. We know that one Showboat player, Brady White, will be under center. He's excited about coming back, and of course you can see more details on that on our story that's posted on actionnews5.com. Let me show you this here. The Best Life report. March is Poison Prevention Awareness Month, and by definition, a poison is any substance that can cause harm or death. And it's the things you use every day that could be the most harmful to your children and pets. Watch this. Whether it's your eyeshadow, toothpaste, hair care products, nail polish remover, or hand sanitizer, all of these things contain harmful chemicals that, if ingested in large amounts, can cause vomiting, diarrhea, and skin irritation. Even some hair dyes can cause severe burns in the mouth and esophagus. Most of us have some type of pain medication in the house, whether it's over-the-counter acetaminophen or prescribed meds. A small dose can cause permanent liver damage and even kill a child. Cleaning products often come in bright bottles that kids can't help but notice. One in particular to lock up: laundry pods. Reports show poison control centers receive 1 call every 42 minutes claiming a child has eaten one. According to the CDC, carbon monoxide is the leading cause of poisoning death. One place it comes from within your home is a gas range. Those most at risk are people with asthma. Don't forget to keep Fido safe as well. Some things you may not realize are poisonous to pets: diffusers with eucalyptus, cinnamon, and peppermint oils. The vapors can have significant health effects to your pets if inhaled, and pets can get poisoned from inhaling secondhand marijuana smoke. If you suspect that you or someone else has been poisoned, don't wait for signs of poisoning. Immediately call the Poison Control Help Hotline at 1-800-222-1222. In anticipation of Earth Day next month, the Memphis Zoo holding a special competition. The zoo is going to hold an art contest, 2 different categories: most artistic, which includes painting, sculptures, and other works of art, and most functional, which includes decorating backpacks, purses, and other items. You can find it all on our website, actionnews5.com. Winners will be announced April 22nd. And South Haven's newly expanded Bank Plus Amphitheater is going to open April 20th. A lot of people excited about this. It's going to have more seating, lots of new amenities, seating jumping from 3,900 to just shy of 10,000 people. The venue has more restrooms, concessions, air-controlled VIP lounge with seating indoor and out, as well as premium boxes. It kicks off its Springfest celebration with bands Better Than Ezra, Sister Hazel, and Ingram Hill. All right, let's take a break right now from that, and let's talk about colon health, because it is March, and we're always looking for ways to improve our health. And March is one of those where it's Colon Cancer Awareness Month. And let's bring in dietitian to the Action News 5 digital desk, Leslie Eli. She joins us now from Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare. Leslie, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's talk about the link between nutrition and cancer. Is there one, and if so, what?
Sure. So the American Cancer Society does say that about 18% of all cancers and about 16% of cancer deaths are linked to maybe excessive body weight, physical inactivity, and just overall poor nutrition. So this is a great time to be talking about this with Colon Cancer Awareness Month, but it's also National Nutrition Month as well.
Okay, that's interesting. They both go hand in hand, it sounds like. So March, Colon Cancer Awareness Month. What are the best types of food to support good colon health?
So when we're talking colon health, we want high fiber. We want to increase that fiber in our diet, and we want to think about things like probiotics. So when we talk about fiber, we want more fruits and veggies. think about trying to eat vegetables and fruits with the skins on them. So like our apples, our potatoes, that's where that fiber is going to be found in those. We want to increase our whole grains. We want to try to make half of our grains at least whole grains. And those are things like quinoa, barley, farro, oats, doing brown rice or wild rice instead of white rice, but also including things like beans and legumes. So these are perfect additions to soups and casseroles like black beans, kidney beans, lentils. And then we're also going to want to increase our probiotic rich foods. So things like yogurt, kombucha, kimchi, kefir, all of those things help flourish and revamp the gut flora in our colon, and can also just be really overall tasty additions to our meals.
I'm curious about a couple things when it comes to colon health. Red meat and sugar. What can you tell me about that?
So we definitely want to be proactive in trying to reduce the amount of red meat that we're eating, and focus on leaner cuts of meat like chicken, turkey, fish, but also even trying plant-based and some of these like beans and legumes that we've already talked about. Those can be easy swaps for protein in our meals that are not red meats. And then as far as sugar goes, same thing. We want to try to reduce our overall intake of sugar if we can, and just do more of our fiber-rich foods, our plant-based foods, and make that a priority for our colon health. Sugary drinks and beverages can lead to insulin resistance, and that can increase, our risk of colon cancer as well.
We know exercise is good on so many different levels, Leslie. Does exercise help the colon? If so, how?
Sure. Exercise keeps our bowels regular, helps reduce constipation, and again, just keeps our colon cancer risk lower. So there's no wrong way to move. If you like hiking, running, yoga, dancing, whatever it is, just try to get moving more each day.
Okay, and then what about meal prepping? A lot of people like to meal prep, plan ahead. Do you have maybe some tips that we can use if we're meal planning?
Sure. So the easiest way I think to start is to have a plan, make a list, and sit down and plan out your whole meals for the week. I find it easier if you are more aware at the beginning of the week, saying, okay, I'm going to really try to increase my vegetables, add more whole grains. You can maybe even cook once and use it twice. So make a double portion of something and use it in 2 different meals. Also trying to pre-prepare your snacks. So doing fruits and veggies as your snacks, even making like a yogurt dip for them. So kind of adding in multiple of those foods that we've talked about. And also just not forgetting to prepare as far as your fluid intake by packing your water bottle and taking that with you, so you always have access to that during the day.
Where can we go? You've mentioned a bunch of things, Leslie. Where can we go to get some of this information online?
So you can always look on eatright.org. That's our dietitian's professional platform. They have a lot of good information about colon health on there. The Cancer Society also had information when I was glancing at it. Always reach out to a registered dietitian if you have more questions or concerns. We have dietitians here at Methodist that are definitely open to talking about that. Cancer.org is going to be a good place to look for these resources as well.
Okay, Leslie Ely, Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare dietitian. We appreciate any kind of tips and tricks and suggestions and ways to improve our health. We appreciate it. Thank you. All right, let's talk about cybersecurity awareness, because that is the month of October. In addition to Breast Cancer Awareness Month, it's also Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And Get this stat here. More than 75% of Americans recently shared that they were targeted by an online scam, which can include donation scams, tech support scams, romance scams, cryptocurrency scams, and much, much more. Does that surprise you? It doesn't surprise me, but it's certainly pervasive, it seems, in every part of the country. Let's bring in a cybersecurity expert right now. Jaya Ballou is joining us. And Jaya, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well, thank you.
Thank you for joining us. And I understand that the sandwich generation seems to be one of those generations that really has a lot of responsibilities when it comes to this. Sandwich generation, my understanding is that, because I'm a part of it, you have aging parents and you have kids. The kids tend to be skewing a little bit younger. Is that what the sandwich generation is? Let's define it for everybody.
You're absolutely right. That's exactly what it is. And just like you, I'm also part of it. So it's not an easy spot to be in, because you've got this double role where you have to be the primary caregiver, both for your kids, but also make sure your parents are okay. And one area that's often overlooked when we're doing all the other responsibilities is around cybersecurity.
Yeah, one of the most frustrating things for me, especially when my father-in-law lived with us, was that how many phone calls he got from the constant people that, may sound nice over the phone, may sound trusting over the phone, but it was a bunch of garbage, and it's just so frustrating. So what's the best advice for not only managing what older Americans have to deal with when it comes to scams, but also our children too?
Yeah, so, the good news is that both for the older Americans that we need to take care of, as well as those younger kids that we've got as our primary role, they're the same stuff that we have to do for both of them. And I like to kind of couch it into three things. Like, the first thing is prevention, making sure that they have some good cyber hygiene practices ready to go that are enabled by default. And that can be a good antivirus, a good web browser, and a strong VPN that they can use because they want to be connected from anywhere on every device all the time. So that's a good starting point. Majority of threats are blocked. The second thing is just really about detection, being vigilant, watching out for those red flags, knowing when to recognize one of those phone calls is completely illegitimate, that your bank never wants to ask information about your passwords or that kind of stuff by calling you, and especially an unsolicited call asking you for information is not normal. So watching out for those red flags is the second thing, really being vigilant and paying attention to that scam-like behavior. And the third thing, which is really not easy to do when it happens, but you need to kind of prepare it before it happens, is in case you actually do get attacked or do fall initially for the scam, how to stop it quickly, and then also how to get help, whether that means informing police or finding someone in your network that can actually undo the harm that was done. Having that ready before you need it is super important to getting this right.
What about for younger children? By the way, I love that response. That was excellent. Cyber hygiene. That's a term that I want to develop there and just kind of use from now on. And VPN. I feel like VPNs are just so underrated right now. They need to be more prevalent. What about for younger children out there? Because the older Americans, that seems to be, it gets a lot of press about ways to protect older Americans, but sometimes our children are left vulnerable on screens and devices. What are some good practices for some of the parents out there?
So I'm a mom of 3, and I've got to tell you that in some cases, I find my kids way more savvy, even though I was hacking from the age of 9 and I feel like I really know what the internet is. I find them super savvy on some of these social media platforms, and they've already figured out, how to have hacks for games. They're doing all this stuff. And I feel like the best way to educate them is not to prohibit them from doing something. And especially as parents who may be less tech savvy than their kids these days, the best thing to do is to have that conversation about what is safe, what is acceptable, how to spot something that, is is doing something that's actually evil. And also, like, we need to worry more about our kids about things like cyberbullying. You know, are they actually having a good time on some of these social media platforms that they're on? Or when they're exchanging information while they're playing Fortnite or whatever, you know, that information is not something that's actually confidential. When they're being requested to send images, how they actually protect their profiles on any of these platforms, you know, just making sure it's invite only, and that the photos that my daughter, for example, is uploading, that they're not just being spread out. You know, I'm trying to take the role of not saying no, because I don't want to find them circumventing my advice, but finding a way to actually have a dialogue and like really talk to them and engage and let them understand what the threat is so they make the best decisions they possibly can.
I know you mentioned a little bit about this earlier, but for viewers out there that want to is secure their household as much as possible, you know, virus protection software, that sort of thing, passwords, maybe 2 identification verifications, that sort of thing. Give me give me a list of the best preventable ways so that you're not hacked.
Okay, so I mean, we started out with those 3. I love this, by the way. I could do this all day. But we started out with those 3 of a good antivirus. And again, it doesn't matter to me which one you have, as long as it's a solid antivirus. And you can go out there and look at AV Comparatives or any of the other sites to figure out which one fits your price range and your purpose best. Start there. The second one is really, when you go online, a good secure browser. Third one is a VPN for all of your devices, so that when you're using the internet from other Wi-Fi points, that you're still safe. And then, like what you mentioned, a lot of platforms that we engage with online already have 2-factor authentication enabled. We as users, though, need to turn it on. There's some user involvement in order to be able to use that benefit that's already there. So I urge everybody on the platforms that you use, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, WhatsApp, etc., Signal, turn on that 2-factor authentication mechanism that's there. If you don't know how to do it, Google that for the platform that you're using. You'll find an easy set of instructions. The other thing about passwords, now, I have to tell you, this is a drama, and it's always been the worst thing ever. People do not like complex passwords because they don't remember them, so they wind up writing it on a sticky note or losing it or whatever. So the best thing is to have a unique password for everything you're using, and then to manage that with a password manager. So the easiest way to do that unique password for every site and then having it slightly complex is to let it go into a password manager, and there's a bunch of good ones out there. Pick one. Make sure you use it, you know, consistently, use it across your different devices, and already that will make a huge amount of difference. There's also like small things that I like to point out, which is really when you are getting links in emails, just don't arbitrarily click. Try to find out where that link is taking you, and then you can better click that by yourself by typing it in, if that's a valid and legitimate email. Try to have, for sensitive information, an offline channel, like a phone call that you can make to verify that that's legitimate requests that you're actually getting.
I know you got to wrap up a little bit here, Jaya, but what about social media with our youngsters out there? They're on it a lot. What are best practices for social media?
Well, again, like my thing that I do with my kids is to just agree on a certain amount of screen time to monitor usage. And one of the things that I did with my son very early on is that we actually read the terms and conditions of the platform that he was using. And it sounds absolutely horrible and a terrible thing to do with your Sunday afternoon, but it's actually really useful, because then they suddenly understand that they're being followed and tracked even when they're not on that social media platform. And all of that off-platform activity about them is used to collect information about all of their browsing behavior. And so when my son found that out, he actually said, you know what, I don't want to do this now. This is not the goal. We want to empower people to embrace online technology and be having some concept of digital freedom when they go online. But again, it begins with the dialogue. Just start the conversation. I think that's a great thing to do in this month of cybersecurity awareness.
What a novel concept, reading the terms and conditions. I love it. Is there anything else we can go to for more information? Some of the things that you've said, it's been fantastic. Where can our viewers get that information online?
Well, just start at the Avast.com sandwich generation site. So www.avast.com sandwich generation. And we have a bunch of resources there. There's an online quiz to test your awareness, stuff that you can print out and share with your parents. Just start there. I think a good starting point is, already means you're doing a lot of good effort for the future.
Well, Jaya Ballou is the Avast Chief Information Security Officer, and great tips, great conversation. Thanks so very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Split the screen right here. I want to show you, all you Grizzlies fans out there, a bit of a bad news update. This is Steven Adams, and the Grizzlies just gave an update on his injury. It looks like he's going to be out for several more weeks. It says Memphis Grizzlies front court will remain thin as they make their final push towards the end of the season. Steven Adams expected to miss at least 4 more weeks as he works to recover from a knee injury. He's been out of action since January 22nd. After spraining his PCL during a game with Phoenix, he underwent a stem cell injection on Wednesday and will be reevaluated in 4 weeks. And this is on top of Brandon Clark, who's out for the season with a torn Achilles. By the way, they did some surgery, and his Achilles is good. And then, of course, John Moran, as most of us know, remains out. He has stepped away from the team following an incident where he showed a gun where he was at a club on social media, and that investigation ensued. So some things happening there with the Memphis Grizzlies, and they still have time to regroup before the playoffs. Certainly, they got their work cut out for them. They're back in action tonight against the Golden State Warriors, the defending champs, and we'll see how they do. We'll certainly keep you posted on that. Today, people living with HIV can expect to live as long as the general population thanks to the discovery and development of effective treatments. Right now on the digital desk, we are joined by Dr. Harmony Garges, Chief Medical Officer at ViiV Healthcare. Doctor, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you being here. How has living with HIV changed over the years to today?
Well, it's changed so much in the last 40 years. It's really been quite amazing. When you think about when HIV was first discovered 40 years ago, we didn't have any effective therapies. And unfortunately, many people died of HIV and AIDS while waiting for medicines to be developed. Then we did develop medicines to treat the virus, but the older regimens were complicated. Multiple pills, multiple times a day, difficult to tolerate, and it was really challenging for people to adhere to those regimens. Fast forward to today, and thankfully now we have simplified regimens that are much better tolerated. So we've really made huge advances in HIV treatment to the point that people now should be living long and fulfilling lives with their HIV. The one area, though, that has not changed as much as we would like is in the area of stigma and discrimination. So despite the advances we've made in therapy, unfortunately, many people living with HIV still face stigma and discrimination, and this provides a real barrier to them getting the care that they need.
Let's talk about treatment and how it's progressed, and where do you think it's going next?
Sure. So HIV treatment has changed dramatically. In the early days, people would have to take whole cocktails of pills to treat their virus, sometimes 20 pills in one day. And again, they had really undesirable side effects. So as we optimize therapy, we've now moved to where most people can take 1 pill once a day. And now we even have long-acting regimens on the market where people can take injectable medications every 2 months to treat their HIV. So we've made huge progress, but our work is not finished, and we're continuing to look for new medicines to deliver to people living with HIV, and especially focused on that long-acting therapy area, trying to develop medicines that will go even longer between dosing intervals.
Dr. Garges, I know that there's this conference, the CROI conference, a medical meeting that really brings together scientists and doctors from around the world to share the latest advances in technology when it comes to HIV. What came out of the latest conference? Can you tell us?
Absolutely. CROI is an incredible conference, one of the premier HIV conferences we have every year. And at ViiV Healthcare, it's such a privilege to be part of that conference that really is focused on advances in both HIV treatment and HIV prevention. I'd like to share with you positive findings from one of our studies that we presented at CROI that really looked at people on a commonly prescribed oral daily pill known as Biktarvy versus going on to our long-acting regimen known as Cabenuva, which is again administered every 2 months. And there were 3 really important takeaways from this study that compared these 2 regimens. First, we demonstrated that the long-acting regimen was just as effective as having to take a daily oral pill with a similar safety profile other than injection site reactions occurring with the long-acting therapy. But interestingly, what we also showed was people who entered the trial on this oral daily medication, nearly half of them reported a psychological burden with having to take that pill every day, that daily reminder of their HIV. And then when they moved to the long-acting injectable, their treatment satisfaction improved, and 90% of them said they preferred the long-acting option. So to me, this just reinforces the need for different options, different therapies, and really having an individual conversation between physician and patient about their choices so that the patient and doctor can make the right choices for that individual.
Interesting stuff here, Doctor. Where can people go to learn more information?
So first, I would encourage anyone living with HIV to please have a conversation with your healthcare provider about these different treatment options so you can understand what's best for you. And to learn more about this long-acting regimen, please visit our website, cabenuva.lai.com, for more information.
Okay, Dr. Harmony Garges, we appreciate you. Thanks for the update and advances in HIV treatment and technology. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, good morning. A warm front lifting north through the Mid-South and bringing some rain. Look at that batch of rain just west of Little Rock. That's heading our direction. So you'll have these on and off showers all day today. This is 9 a.m. on First Alert Futurecast. Most of us still getting some rain, and those showers continue on and off through at least noon today along and south of I-40 up towards Dyersburg and into Tipton and Lauderdale County as well as Crockett County. May see a break in the rain around noon, but all of us will have the potential for showers through tonight. At 5 o'clock, many areas in North Mississippi seeing a break at that point, but those showers continue to develop here through around 11 o'clock or midnight. Some of these storms tonight at 11 o'clock, midnight tonight in North Mississippi and eastern Arkansas may have some gusty winds and some small hail as well. But I'm mostly concerned with the threat for some flooding. We've seen a lot of rain recently. We could tack on another inch of rain in Tunica today, about an inch and a half in Oxford, quarter to a half inch from Memphis and to Wynn, West Memphis, and spots like Helena still seeing about a half inch to an inch of rain too. As I mentioned, there is that chance for us to maybe have a few strong storms, a 1 out of 5 for those for winds and hail in North Mississippi, eastern Arkansas. Most of us, though, won't see any thunderstorms, and in fact, that severe chance is really low. Like I said, the main thing I'm concerned with is that flash flooding potential, and that's mostly because we've already had a lot of rain. On average, we normally get around an inch and a half. We are 2 inches above normal for the month so far, and the month just started, so who knows how much we'll end up having by the end of the month. So temperatures are coming in the 50s this morning. We'll end up around 60 degrees at 3 o'clock, upper 50s between 5 and 7, and again, rain chances, they're high all day today. Your high temperature is 60 degrees, pretty close to average, which is at 62 right now, and then a low temperature tonight of 46, and after midnight, rain will be coming to an end. So that high rain chance is really just for your early evening. This weekend, Saturday at least, is mostly dry. We will have some rain rolling in Saturday night, but then Sunday it looks like a complete washout with on and off rain all day and temperatures hanging out near 60. Not only do we have to deal with rain this weekend, but also we are springing forward this weekend. That time change happens technically at 2 a.m. Sunday, but I always recommend setting your clocks forward an hour before you go to sleep on Saturday night. And also, this is a good time to replace those smoke alarm and carbon dioxide detector batteries. Now, we'll keep you updated on the rain chance for today and this weekend on our First Alert weather app. Just search for WMC and you can download that app for free. We'll have temperatures today around 60 degrees, 60 tomorrow. Sunshine tomorrow as well. And as I mentioned, Saturday's mostly dry too. But after that Sunday rain, as that cold front moves through, it really drops down temperatures. So highs on Monday and Tuesday will only be in the lower 50s.
You know, nutrition and nutrition studies are always evolving. It's really unsure these days what's healthy and what's not. It feels like it changes all the time and it's constantly evolving. 7 out of 10 people believe that changing nutrition info makes it hard to know exactly what to believe. Even when families are trying to make healthier meals, they're oftentimes very confused about what to eat. So let's bring in our next guest here on the Action News 5 digital desk, Dr. Sylvia Melendez-Klinger. She is someone that knows all about nutrition and is with the American Heart Association's volunteer expert. Good morning, doctor. How are you?
Good morning. Very well. Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. So let's talk first off, when we're cooking something, we got this brand new recipe. We're super excited. We want to eat as healthy as possible. What is the cooking oil that we should use?
Yes, great question. You know, all these oils have a purpose in the cooking. And we need to know, first of all, that, you know, vegetable oil, canola oil, they're great for baking, roasting, frying at high temperatures, okay? So these are great for cooking and baking and roasting. The other oils, olive oil, avocado oil, sesame oil, they're delicate oils. So they're only to be used for marinating, dressings, and tiny little bit of maybe like sauteing a little bit. But they're delicate, so they can burn easily. Now, these are all vegetable oils, okay? So they're plant-based, they're unsaturated fat, so they're healthy for the heart. The oils that you need to be really careful, animal fats, they have a lot of saturated fats. Coconut oil, even though it's plant-based, it has saturated fats. So that needs to be used very, very sporadic, once in a blue moon only, okay? Those saturated fats have to be limited. And these other ones, you know, they all have you want more flavor, you use olive oil, avocado oil. If you want to cook with the oil, bake, roast, grill, then use vegetable oil or canola oil. I mean, you can always use it for marinating too, but of course, you know, if you want to add some flavor, these are the ones.
Interesting. Okay. So let me ask you this about the other ingredients that we can swap right now for something that perhaps is in our house, but how do we make it healthier? Let's talk about that.
Oh, I love to talk about that because people think when they're seasoning food, just salt. You know, they always think of salt. But here, you know, we have many ways to season. For example, fruits and vegetables are great to season food. You can add citrus juices. You can add, you know, like peppers, you know, things that really add a lot of flavor and color as well, and nutrition. Then you can go to the spices. There's so many. One of my favorites, smoked paprika. Oh, it's such a delicious flavor to, like, if you want like a meaty flavor without the meat, that's your spice to go to. But chili peppers, you have garlic powder, onion powder, you know, even like, you know, fresh herbs, they're great also to add a lot of flavor as well. But again, these combination of foods, you know, when you flavor with herbs and more garlic, more onions, fresh herbs, you're adding flavor, you're adding color, and also you can even boost the nutritional value of that meal.
What are your tips for making healthy food affordable? We hear so many times, you know, great, I'd love to eat healthier. I just can't afford to eat healthier. So what are some good suggestions?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that nutrition doesn't have to be expensive. Planning is the key because you need to see like, okay, what am I going to make this week? What ingredients I need to buy? So you're not double buying things. You can use foods that are in season. You know, right now the spring is coming. We have lots of cauliflower. We have greens. We have lots of fruits that are coming up. So then take advantage of that, okay? And at the same time, you know, use leftovers. be very effective at using something that was left over to put it into another meal. I have here a rice and beans. Using canned beans, canned products, frozen products could be inexpensive as well. In canned beans, if you rinse them, you can take 40% of the sodium. And it's a great way to cut time and at the same time, add fiber and protein and many other vitamins to a dish. And we always say, have a couple of beans every day and, really will help you to live longer. So, you never know. These foods really will help you to stay healthy and to really, more than anything, take care of your heart.
This sounds all great, and it looks good, Sylvie. Anything else that people can go, our viewers can go for more information about all what we talked about and more?
Absolutely. This month of nutrition, where the American Heart Association is having a program called Together at the Table. And you can find recipes that are healthy. You can find also many resources in English and even Spanish, going to heart.org/Nutrición y tu familia, which is nutrition and your family. So heart.org/Nutrición y tu familia. That website is great in English and Spanish to go find all these resources and more recipes that are heart healthy.
Okay, Dr. Sylvia Melendez-Klinger, we appreciate your time this morning and all the tips on a healthier meal and meal planning. Thanks very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, that's the cover of the Memphis Flyer this week, just out right now. You can see it. One and fun. Kendrick Davis making his lone season as a Memphis Tiger unforgettable. And then, of course, the cover story has a nice indication of what's going to be inside there. You can see a whole bunch of pictures and words from Frank Murtaugh, who wrote the cover story with the Memphis Flyer. He joins us now on the Action News 5 digital desk. Frank, it's been a while. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you being
exciting
here.
To be part of March in basketball here in Memphis.
I'm telling you, man. I got to first get your thoughts on the game on Sunday. We're Tiger fans, and watching that game against Houston, top seed in the country, coming down to that final buzzer beater. Give me just first off, before we get into this article, give me just your overall analysis of how well they played as we approach the conference tournament and the NCAA tournament.
Well, these Tigers are unique, Andrew, in that they may go down in Memphis history as the best Tiger basketball team to go a season entirely unranked. And it doesn't match the eye test. What we saw last Sunday against the top-ranked team in the country, and even if you go back to December when they lost by 3 points to Alabama, currently the fourth-ranked team in America, it just doesn't, those dots don't connect to a team that's not even in the top 25. And that's what's going to be so illuminating, I believe, about what's to come, this weekend in Fort Worth at the AAC tournament, and then, starting next weekend with the big dance. They're a tight bunch of kids. They know that this is the 1 year they have together. It's a team built around seniors. The most prominent being Kendrick Davis. But yeah, Sunday was painful. They had a 5-point lead there in the second half, and I think FedEx Forum was about to tilt if they pulled off that upset. It didn't quite happen, but they with a couple of wins this weekend, they could get another chance to face the Cougars Sunday.
Yeah, I think I've had multiple conversations, probably around, I'd say, at least 10 since that game on Sunday. People just want to talk about it, good and bad. More so good, of course, because they were able to hang. And you bring up a great point between Alabama and Houston's two of the top teams, probably both of them getting number 1 seeds in the NCAA tournament. You're talking about Memphis being able to hang with the best of the best this coming season. So is that what we're going to be able to read about in the Memphis Flyer this week? Tell me more about this article.
Yeah, absolutely. Kendrick Davis, Andrew, is a one and done, as they call them, unlike any that Memphis Tigers have ever seen. In large part because he's not a freshman like the likes of Jalen Duren, or going back to DeJuan Wagner, just at the turn of the century. Derrick Rose, of course, Tyreek Evans. These were all star freshmen who came here, played a year, moved on to the NBA. Kendrick, on the other hand, most folks know, played 3 years at SMU, and before that TCU. before deciding to come and play his fifth year, his final year of eligibility, for someone he grew up admiring and came to have a deep and profound respect for, and that's Penny Hardaway. So it's the matchup for one season and one season only between Kendrick and Penny, I think, that's going to make this team stand out for Tiger basketball historians for years to come. Kendrick has not played in the NCAA tournament. This is his one and only chance to make a mark, and he feels like he told me he feels like he owes the committee something, because last year SMU had a very good season. They actually finished ahead of Memphis in the AAC standings, but were denied a berth to the NCAA tournament. And he's there's a chip on his shoulder, and I think the chip grew a little bit last Sunday in the loss to Houston. But he feels like the team is built for March. He pointed out to me that a key component to winning NCAA tournament basketball games is having a point guard and a power forward that can make an impact. And if you look at the Memphis roster, Kendrick and then his partner in crime, DeAndre Williams, at the 4, they have those two components in spades. They're both, first team all conference selections. So the pieces are there if they can stay healthy. And, they also have to show up. DeAndre had a less than stellar game Sunday against the Cougars, or it might have been a different result. But if DeAndre Williams and Kendrick Davis show up and the supporting players fill their roles, Memphis fans could have a lot to cheer this month.
It's interesting to also kind of see Penny Hardaway's development over the last several years and his X's and O's. Give me your thoughts on Penny's development in that role as the head coach.
Yeah, I think Penny has grown to understand that he has to coach to his players, to his roster over the course of a season, as opposed to the other way around, bending players to his vision for what a team should be or how a team should play. And I think he's done that really well this year, particularly, it helps having a transfer like Kendrick Davis come in, who, the conference player of the year last season, and all of a sudden he's wearing your uniform. But Penny has coached to his talent, to the players that he has available. And, there have been significant injuries this year to Alex Lomax, Malcolm Dandridge, another couple of the veterans, longtime players for Penny. And he's adjusted. And, Malcolm and Alex now have to earn their minutes on the floor for this team. And, Penny's growing as a coach. I'm glad you brought that up. This is year 5 for him. He's, you can't call Penny Hardaway a young coach. He's 50 years old now. And, but he's young when it comes to the mileage on his tires, you might say, with just 5 seasons under his belt. But he also knows that teams are made, the memories are made in March. That's how we'll remember these Tigers, whatever their place in the AAC standings might be. And he knows this is when players and coaches need to rise.
Do you have an idea, just a little bit about the schedule going into Selection Sunday this weekend? What's on tap for the Tigers?
Well, they may well have to beat 2 teams that have beaten them twice if they're to win the AAC tournament. Tulane, they'd face them in the semifinals if they win, tomorrow's quarterfinal game, which will be against the winner of UCF and SMU. If they get to the championship and if they were able to knock off the top-ranked team in the country, that will significantly impact and I think change the seeding they're going to get. Right now, most projections have them at a 9 or 10 seed, which is going to make it an arduous track to advance, because they'll in the second, if they get by their first round matchup, they'll be facing a 1 or 2 in that second round. But let's see what happens this weekend in Fort Worth. Again, if they were to beat Houston, win their first AAC tournament championship, that puts them in a different position. And it would be ironic because, again, we started this conversation, they haven't been ranked all season. So if they were to leap into a 4, 5, 6 seed, that could change things.
Okay, Frank Murtaugh, he has written the cover story to the Memphis Flyers' latest edition on newsstands right now. One and fun, Kendrick Davis making his lone season as a Memphis Tiger unforgettable. And, of course, you can also read it at memphisflyers.com. Frank Murtaugh, we really appreciate your time. As always, come on the digital desk more frequently, man. We'd love to talk again. Thanks very much.
Thanks for having me, Andrew. I really appreciate it.
You got it. You got it.
I know you want to leave me, but I refuse to let you go.
Well, you know they ain't too proud. That's the cast of the hit Broadway musical about Motown and the Temptations taking the stage this week at the Orpheum Theater in downtown Memphis. Doesn't it sound good? All right, the Tony Award-winning show runs through Sunday, features a Memphian in one of the lead roles. His name is Jalen Harris, and we caught up with him and his castmates at the Stax Museum of American Soul Music.
Wow. Rufus Silas, you are wearing boots with a short set. You are my hero.
I'm Jalen Harris, and I play Eddie Kendricks in Ain't Too Proud, The Life and Times of the Temptations. Soul Train is on, y'all.
I'm gonna get that camera.
I think that's what makes it so special, and the link between Memphis and Detroit with like Stax and Motown is really remarkable to see as well. And playing a Temptation that is from Detroit, but I myself am from Memphis, Tennessee, you know, that really is, I'm sort of like getting to live the best of both worlds. Yeah, look how I haven't either.
I'm Michael Andreas, and I play Otis Williams. It's a section that was dedicated to, to the Detroit sound, which is what we kind of represent in our show. So just the fact that they are trying to be so inclusive of all of the music that literally shapes the country during those years in the 60s and the 70s. Just standing in a piece of history, it's an experience I won't ever forget.
This is amazing. So this was his car.
Whose car is this?
Isaac Hayes. His actual car. I'm really excited to, just bring this incredible show to our city at this particular time. And last night really showed us that this is exactly what we need in Memphis right now. So I'm so honored to be a part of that.
So you can catch Ain't Too Proud, The Life and Times of the Temptations at the Orpheum Theater. It'll be there until March 12th. 2 shows, both Saturday and Sunday. Tickets available through Ticketmaster and at the Orpheum box office. Want to tell you right now about a facelift for Overton Park Shell. In a tweet, officials announced the upgrade to the stage, saying, quote, "We very much need all of our friends to stay off the stage while resurfacing is being completed. Looking to spend some time at the Shell. The Shell Health and Wellness Series is underway. Shell Days kicks off April 21st. All right, the Collage Dance Collective, one of only a few professional ballet companies in the world with a roster of dancers who are black or people of color. Kim Clark introduces us to the inspiring growth and diversity of ballet and dance.
Take a quicker and the cut. Lenore Morales knows all too well the difficulties for people of color in the professional world of dance.
So I was always the Spanish dancer in Nutcracker. It was always that. But it's been challenging for dancers of color to get the lead roles or even get into companies, especially ballet companies.
The Juilliard School graduate and native Brooklynite moved to Memphis and joined the Collage Dance Collective in 2021.
The same thing with the head.
The company's artistic director, whom she'd also danced with in the Harlem Theater of Dance, called on her to fill the role of rehearsal director.
Felt that his vision for ballet, for the future, and for dancers of color was something I felt was really important.
Collage Dance, a professional dance company, actually began in New York City in 2006 in response to the ballet industry's lack of racial diversity on stage. The professional dance company moved to Memphis about a year later to fulfill its mission of extending the reach of outstanding classical ballet training, changing the landscape of dance in the American South in the process.
It's an organization that's giving dancers of color the opportunity to be seen in a different light. So ballet dancers of all shades, not just fair-skinned.
The more than 22,000 square foot state-of-the-art studio on the corner of Tillman and Sam Cooper opened in December of 2020. Its sunlit studios now filled with dancers practicing a range of classical and contemporary choreography.
I feel safe and I feel like I can express myself when I'm dancing.
Lauren Filson is a company artist.
Here.
Preparing on this day for an April performance. Dancing since the age of 2, Lauren moved to Memphis from Denver in 2020 to begin her professional career.
Go back to this section.
Which at Collage means 3 seasons of performances every year, as well as touring.
We've been to the Kennedy Center, we've been to multiple cities throughout the U.S.
At Collage, Lauren's found not only a place to dance, but a home where her natural hair is accepted and the tights and shoes are not the standard pink.
That's one thing that's different here from anywhere else is you get to wear tights that are your skin color. We get to pancake our shoes to match our skin tone. It's amazing to be able to see people around me who look like me and have the same skin color, and I don't feel alone whenever it comes to the way that I look in this art form.
Reagan Myers, a senior in high school, has also been dancing since she was a little girl.
It gives me freedom to express myself without even speaking. It gives me a space to relax and release energy, good or bad, throughout the day. School can be hard, and dance really just is that outlet for me.
Reagan joined the Collage Youth Ensemble in 2015. She plans to study dance in college and one day own her own studio using what she's learned from Collage.
We get to firsthand really experience what it's like being a director. We see Mr. Kevin in action, and we kind of take ideas and bounce ideas off of them. And we really got that firsthand experience about how to create a show, how to manage performances. And I think it's good for people my age and younger upcoming dancers to see what success looks like with people that look like us. And I think building this studio was a really important part in building the confidence of future Black dancers.
I hope that they see someone who looks like them and they see that this is a career that's attainable. This can be a profession.
The Collage Dance Collective, bringing the art of dance to all.
It's life, it's living. I think it's a way of communication. I think all cultures have dance and music, and when people just kind of let themselves be free and move, there's a joy that comes up inside of you and this feeling that you can share with one another. You don't even have to say a word.
Kim Clark, Action News 5.
Okay, now let's talk about spring break, because we are hearing that the Memphis International Airport could be at its busiest this spring break period for the first time in 15 years. That's how busy. 41,000 people are expected to pass through the security checkpoint there. Today is officially kind of the kickoff of spring break, that travel period. And joining us on the Action News 5 digital desk, we got Glenn Thomas with us. To talk more about maybe some suggestions, some ways to kind of beat all these big crowds out there. Glenn, how you doing? Good to see you.
Good morning, Andrew. Thank you for having me today.
Appreciate it. So what is the biggest recommendation you have for people using the airport over the next, week to 10 days?
Absolutely. Well, I think the most important thing is get to the airport 2 hours before your scheduled departure time. The worst case scenario is you get there a little bit early, and for passengers who haven't seen the concourse that we opened last year, there's a lot more to do, a lot more to see.
Excellent. Okay. And so the busiest times, Glenn, always seem to be in the morning. Is that, in fact, the case during this spring break travel period?
That's correct. It's especially important to get to the airport early if you are traveling in the early morning hours. So between 4 and 7 a.m. is really our busiest time. And tomorrow is going to be our busiest day, projected about 9,000 people going through the checkpoint. So definitely, if you're traveling tomorrow morning, get there 2 hours early.
So 9,000 people, put that into perspective for me. On a typical day, how many people travel through the checkpoint?
It ranges greatly. It could be anywhere from 4,000 to 7,000. But we have these peak periods, busier days than others. Fridays, for example, are generally busy. But of course, with spring break, with school being out and a lot of people taking some vacations, we just have a higher traffic flow.
Of course, parking is top of mind for so many people. That economy lot fills up pretty quickly. What are your recommendations for people parking there?
Well, the 2 hour early recommendation kind of takes parking into consideration as well. If our parking lots fill up, which they have been during peak days, we will open overflow lots and we will have a shuttle running from those lots. But if you are parking in those overflow lots, it's a good idea to drop off your other passengers first with their luggage and then maybe circle back and then park in that lot and catch the shuttle over.
Oh, that's a great idea. What else? So we've talked about parking. We've talked about coming to the airport 2 hours early. What else can we talk about?
I think it's always a good idea. Download your airline's app. You get notifications immediately, and your airline's going to have the latest information about scheduling and scheduling changes. Know what you can and can't bring through security. Ongoing issue for us, of course, firearms. You cannot bring them in your carry-on luggage. Check those carry-on bags before you travel.
What about the pre-check line? A lot of people think, well, if they have pre-check, then they don't have to be there 2 hours prior. Is that in fact the case?
No, it's not the case. I would say that pre-check definitely expedites, your path through the security checkpoint. But again, think of it as a funnel. A funnel can handle a quart and it can handle a gallon, but the gallon's going to go through it a little bit slower. So pre-check is a great idea. For example, over the course of the next few days, they'll devote extra lanes to pre-check, and some of the passengers who are not pre-check will probably be going to the C checkpoint, the overflow checkpoint.
I got you. These are all great tips, and this could be the largest crowd you've had since 2008. Tell me why.
Well, I think we're just seeing an increase in business travel, and post-pandemic, we continue to see people more and more comfortable with travel. Maybe there are a lot of people who haven't been able to take those family trips since that time, and now they're just making up for lost time. So it kind of echoes what's happening in our industry. Also, I believe the aviation industry is showing some signs of recovery from some of the operational and staffing issues that have affected it.
Okay. Anything else we can touch on, Glenn, that we haven't touched on you feels important?
Just something to note. We know it's going to be a busy week next week, so we are going to have some live music in the airport on Thursday and on Friday next week to entertain the passengers. So we're trying to do that periodically, make use of that music stage and bring some Memphis music to our passengers.
Yeah, I love that. I love that stage there in the concourse there. It's a lot of fun, especially when you see people performing out there. Glenn Thomas, I appreciate it. Thanks very much, and really love the upgrades at Memphis International Airport.
Thank you so much.
All right, so Hugh Jackman, Kourtney Kardashian, Jennifer Aniston, J-Lo, Elon Musk, just a few of the people that swear by intermittent fasting. Is it really safe? How do you actually know you're doing intermittent fasting? What will it do for you? Would it help you reach your health goals in 2023? Let's bring in Dr. Amy Duffy here. She is the international best-selling author of Normal Doesn't Have Side Effects, and she has been a part of the Action News 5 digital desk in the past. We appreciate you coming on once again, Amy. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. I'm so excited to be here and share this information. It's super fun.
Yeah, I am a person that loves to intermittent fast myself. I do it at work, and I have kind of like a, 10 to 12 hour window. First, explain what it is for our audience out there and some of the different ways, because there's all kinds of different ways, I guess, to define intermittent fasting, right?
Absolutely. There's a lot of ways. I kind of narrow it down to two different ways when I'm talking to my patients. I have the calendar way and I have the clock way. So the calendar way, this makes it a little bit more easy to process. Pick 2 days of the week, make sure they're not 2 days in a row. And on the 2 days that you X out here, you're going to fast those 2 days. On the other days, you can eat like normal. You can also adjust this different weeks throughout the month. So let's say you got a hot date one night, you want to adjust your time or something going on at work. So this way, it's super easy. A little bit more difficult to fast for a whole day. A lot of people start with something more like the clock way. So you're going to pick a time frame, a window, just like you described, where you're eating, and then a window where you're fasting or not eating. So let's imagine that you're going to start eating at noon and you're going to stop eating at 6 p.m. and then you don't resume eating until noon the next day. This makes it super easy because you're focused more on when you're eating and not just what you're eating. So you don't have to count carbs, you don't have to count calories. You want to have a glass of wine? Let's have a glass of wine. How about a beer? Sure, have a beer.
Do we have any
Or you can even eat your favorite chocolate. Now, you're going to get better results for weight loss and overall health, cardiovascular, reducing the risk of diabetes, etc. if you're going to choose healthier foods, right? So eat your apple, have a salad for that meal. But it really is super simple and easy to follow. I get a lot of questions, Dr. Duffy, is this safe for us to do? And intermittent fasting can be really safe. In fact, we're seeing a lot of data. That's why doctors are loving it, that it really works, not just for weight loss, for actually reducing our risk of disease. So it's very safe, and we're really recommending it to a lot of people. The few people who need to pay attention, if you're diabetic and you're monitoring your blood sugar with either a blood sugar monitor, like when you're checking your blood on your finger, or you have one of those continuous glucose monitors, you want to make sure you talk to your doctor about that. This may be something you need to adjust. Or perhaps you're on medication and that medication needs to be taken with food, then you need to pay attention to the timing there or chat with your doctor about that. Outside of that, intermittent fasting, super safe, really easy to follow, and it works. That's why it's the #1 fad diet in America.
Is it really #1? Wow. Okay. I didn't know that. #1 fad diet in America. Gotcha. Let's get into specifics about the best candidates for intermittent fasting. Is there a certain body type? What about age groups?
Kids are growing, so we certainly don't want to restrict them. Usually kids are eating more for natural hunger, as opposed to sometimes we just want to eat because we're feeling munchy or something like that. So probably you want to wait until they're older teenagers or adults before they start fasting. But kids will actually naturally fast. They just don't eat when they're not hungry, right? So that's okay, age-wise. As we get older, really, there's no age limit where you would not want to intermittent fast. So that's pretty easy to do. Really, every body type is great. And one of the best things about intermittent fasting, it's not like the keto diet. Keto is okay, and you're going to get results from that, but it's really short-lived. It's hard to live in the keto world for a really long time. But once you start to get used to intermittent fasting, this can be something that you can do for life. So it's really a great thing for anybody who's trying to either maintain their weight or really try to lose weight. If you're going to lose weight, you may want to avoid some of those fun foods that we were talking about, at least in the beginning, until you get to your maintenance weight. But really, that's what's so great about intermittent fasting, is it really can be for anyone.
Yeah, it is. And it's something that I've enjoyed. I do it usually at work, and I don't generally do it on the weekends. But questions around intermittent fasting, because then some people ask, well, what about someone who doesn't eat all day or goes several days and all they have is water or coffee or something like that? Is that safe? I always hear that when you do intermittent fasting, or when you fast for, let's say, a day or so, it really helps your cells. Is that accurate?
Yeah, there's actually studies that show really the magic happens when you're looking at reducing inflammation or regeneration of damaged cells, happens when you get into the 18 to 21 hour fast window and beyond that. So, for weight loss purposes, it's really great to start and simple to start with something like an 8-16 or a 16-8 fast. But when you're really trying to correct some dysfunction there or reduce inflammation, you want to get into those longer fasts. And there are some studies where doing a longer, 24-hour, 36-hour fast can really be beneficial, especially like for cancer. We're kind of starving the cancer, if you want to think about it that way. So there's some studies that really look around that. Of course, you want to make sure that you're hydrated. And again, if you're struggling with low blood sugar, things like that, then you just want to pay attention to that. Sometimes there are some foods that are allowed in the fasting. So some of those fasting days, there's some articles that talk about you can eat up to 500 calories, and that still would be considered a fast. There are other people who do what they call one meal a day. And basically they're fasting throughout the day and they just have one meal. So it's not even a window of, time 6 hours. It's just one meal a day. Again, the term intermittent fasting is important. So if you go to one meal a day, that's okay, but you may want to adjust that throughout your week in terms of what time that meal is, because if you do that every day for the rest of your life, your body's going to adapt to that. And then it's not really intermittent anymore. So, once you get into it, you may want to start adjusting that time frame a little bit.
What does it do for your metabolism? Does it speed it up? Does it slow it down? Do we know?
There's kind of this idea that people who are gaining weight or can't lose weight have a slow metabolism. And then people who can, it seems like they just have an unlimited amount of food that they can eat, but they're still skinny, have a fast metabolism. I don't know that that's really real. I mean, there's so many different variables that go into that. So intermittent fasting, I would say probably, whether you want to call it metabolism, but when you're fasting, it actually speeds up your body's ability to get stored fat. So you're not starving yourself. If you go into starvation mode over a long period of time, your body starts looking for energy in the form of your muscle. So it's going to use up muscle, where the ability with intermittent fasting is actually gathering your fat cells. So your metabolism improves in the fact that it's helping you to burn fat instead of burn calories from muscle or your food, basically. So it's really going to help you lose more fat.
All right, so if our viewers are interested, we've been talking about this for a few minutes, they're interested, they're like, okay, let me try this out. What would be your recommendation if someone wanted to try out intermittent fasting, Amy?
Yeah, that clock way is the easiest way, is just pick a window, between 6 and 8 hours that you're going to eat, and then the window between 16 to 18 hours that you're fasting. The easiest way, just like I described, is to start at noon, end at 6 or 7 p.m. That way you're sleeping through a good, if we're getting the 8 hours of sleep we're supposed to, you're sleeping during most of your fasting. A lot of people aren't starving first thing in the morning. You can have tea, you can have black coffee. You just don't want to consume a lot of calories. Make sure, you're still well hydrated. And then you just start eating again at lunchtime the next day. That is the easiest way to get started.
Awesome. Amy Duffy, we really appreciate your analysis, your insight on this. And thanks so very much. Happy New Year to you. Much success in 2023.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, we have heard a lot about the FTX founder charged in a scheme to defraud crypto investors. Federal prosecutors have alleged he intentionally deceived customers and investors to enrich himself and others while playing a central role in FTX's multi-billion-dollar scheme. We're talking about Sam Bankman-Fried, a Democrat super donor and the founder of XTX. What does this mean for investors? What does this mean for crypto investors? Is crypto dead? Well, let's bring in Alex McCurry. He is CEO of Solidity.io. Alex, is crypto investment dead? If not, why not?
Crypto investment is very much not dead. I think that what FTX is a prime example of lack of regulation in centralized exchanges, decentralized finance, crypto protocols. The type of technology that we're talking about here is very much so alive and very much so unaffected by FTX. But unfortunately, scammers and fraudsters who are misappropriating funds are going to have a lot more difficulty now with stricter regulation.
So, Alex, tell me what Solidity.io is, first off. Do you deal with crypto investments all the time?
Yeah, so Solidity.io is a Web3 solutions firm. We build full stack software products on the blockchain. We also have a venture studio. So we're constantly building software solutions that are built around crypto and built around blockchain technology. So we see a lot of the sort of technology and the sort of strategies that are used across the industry. And so it gives us a lot of visibility to the types of things that, the types of mechanisms that are used in a positive way in the industry, and also the types of mechanisms that can be used in a very negative way. a good example of sort of the technology being used in a negative way, with which I think is a good kind of a good way to sum up what was done by SBF and by FTX, was with the creation of essentially manufactured fake tokens, and using those fake tokens, those manufactured tokens, and leveraging those against their balance sheet as collateral to essentially borrow and take user deposits. We've seen a lot of different tokens created over the last years. Thousands and thousands of tokens have been spun up. You can create an ERC20 token very, very easily if you'd like to create one. And essentially what SBF did is he leveraged FTX's name and FTX's ability to partner with other sort of protocols and technology startups to launch tokens that had inherently very little value or little to zero liquidity, and then use those tokens on their balance sheet to represent collateral for the user deposits that they were receiving in the centralized exchange, taking that real money out, that real Bitcoin, Ethereum, US dollar pegged assets as well, and taking those funds and misappropriating them and gambling with them.
Okay, so Alex, full disclosure, I do have some crypto investments, been looking at it, been investing, namely Bitcoin, Ethereum, a few others, and I see that it's taken a big hit over the last 12 to 18 months. So can you clear up for our viewers out there, what this collapse means of FTX? Does this really hurt investments long term? I mean, from a perspective of a crypto investor, when are we going to see those crypto investments creep back up again, if at all?
The crypto market is very difficult to predict. I think that it is going to be affected by the macroeconomic conditions. I think you're not able to necessarily predict when things are going to come back. And that's really the biggest sort of thing to remember. You're investing in technology, you're investing in the network, you're investing in these underlying protocols, and you're investing in the belief that digital assets and blockchain and privacy and sovereignty over your assets and the ability to transact across the globe instantly, securely, is technology that people will deem valuable over time, right? That is really the principal sort of basis of investing in digital assets, investing in Bitcoin, investing in Ethereum, investing in sort of those blue chip protocols. And so really your time horizon needs to be much longer. You need to be looking at Bitcoin. You need to be looking at these assets much more like an investment in the early days of the internet or in social media, really life-altering technologies that take time to mature, but ultimately have enough value and have enough potential to be adopted within the broader market to accrue massive amounts of value over time.
So let me ask you this, because you mentioned that it's very unpredictable right now of where the crypto market is going. I mean, wouldn't that scare investors right now? I mean, I don't want to invest in anything unpredictable. I mean, there's so many risks involved.
There's certainly risks, and it's certainly unpredictable in the near term, right? If you're talking about a short time horizon, then that's definitely something you need to consider. But if you're looking on a longer time horizon, you're looking at these assets over a long period of time and the value that they bring and the disruption that the technology brings to all of the different sectors that it really is changing, then that's really where you want to be looking if you're trying to accrue value over a longer period of time. So for myself and for others that I know that, their opinions that I respect, their strategy is accumulate these assets at whatever rate you're comfortable with, do it over time, do it while the market is do it when things like FTX happen, right? And the reason for that is because when you have companies like FTX, who are centralized exchanges, centralized authorities, who are basically just a prime example of misallocation of capital by investors and essentially poor management of capital, whether malicious or unintentional, those are not examples of deficiencies in the underlying technology whatsoever. Those are that's poor capital management, and that's fraud. And so that is actually a prime example of an opportunity to accumulate these assets at a discount because of broader concerns around the industry, but has no bearing or no underlying effects on Bitcoin or on the underlying technology.
So let me ask you this, Alex, before we let you go. What do you want people to know about crypto investments with regards to what happened at FTX going into 2023?
I think that crypto investments more broadly are really they're a risk class, they're a risk investment, but you're investing in the underlying technology of what you are, what you believe in, right? And so you need to identify the opportunity within the technology. You need to be comfortable with the risk, and you need to understand why you're investing in it. And so education is really important. Understanding the underlying technology, the underlying principles of why you think it's going to be adopted, why you think it's going to be useful, is much more important than staring at the day-to-day price and looking at, sort of these high-profile news events. Stay focused on the technology, stay focused on the impact, stay focused on the market opportunity, and you'll be fine.
Okay, Alex McCurry of Solidity.io. We appreciate your time and appreciate the breakdown of crypto investments. Thanks very much.
Hey, good morning. A warm front lifting north through the Mid-South and bringing some rain. Look at that batch of rain just west of Little Rock. That's heading our direction. So you'll have these on and off showers all day today. This is 9 a.m. on First Alert Futurecast. Most of us still getting some rain, and those showers continue on and off through at least noon today along and south of I-40 up towards Dyersburg and into Tipton and Lauderdale County as well as Crockett County. May see a break in the rain around noon, but all of us will have the potential for showers through tonight. At 5 o'clock, many areas in North Mississippi seeing a break at that point, but those showers continue to develop here through around 11 o'clock or midnight. Some of these storms tonight at 11 o'clock, midnight tonight in North Mississippi and eastern Arkansas may have some gusty winds and some small hail as well. But I'm mostly concerned with the threat for some flooding. We've seen a lot of rain recently. We could tack on another inch of rain in Tunica today, about an inch and a half in Oxford, quarter to a half inch from Memphis and to Wynn, West Memphis, and spots like Helena still seeing about a half inch to an inch of rain too. As I mentioned, there is that chance for us to maybe have a few strong storms, a 1 out of 5 for those for winds and hail in North Mississippi, eastern Arkansas. Most of us, though, won't see any thunderstorms, and in fact, that severe chance is really low. Like I said, the main thing I'm concerned with is that flash flooding potential, and that's mostly because we've already had a lot of rain. On average, we normally get around an inch and a half. We are 2 inches above normal for the month so far, and the month just started, so who knows how much we'll end up having by the end of the month. So temperatures are coming in the 50s this morning. We'll end up around 60 degrees at 3 o'clock, upper 50s between 5 and 7, and again, rain chances, they're high all day today. Your high temperature is 60 degrees, pretty close to average, which is at 62 right now, and then a low temperature tonight of 46, and after midnight, rain will be coming to an end. So that high rain chance is really just for your early evening. This weekend, Saturday at least, is mostly dry. We will have some rain rolling in Saturday night, but then Sunday it looks like a complete washout with on and off rain all day and temperatures hanging out near 60. Not only do we have to deal with rain this weekend, but also we are springing forward this weekend. That time change happens technically at 2 a.m. Sunday, but I always recommend setting your clocks forward an hour before you go to sleep on Saturday night. And also, this is a good time to replace those smoke alarm and carbon dioxide detector batteries. Now, we'll keep you updated on the rain chance for today and this weekend on our First Alert weather app. Just search for WMC, and you can download that app for free. We'll have temperatures today around 60 degrees, 60 tomorrow. Sunshine tomorrow as well, and as I mentioned, Saturday's mostly dry too. But after that Sunday rain, as that cold front moves through, it really drops down temperatures. So highs on Monday and Tuesday will only be in the lower 50s.
Okay, Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 digital desk. George Lopez is back on Action News 5. He's bringing his real-life daughter, Maya,